put a simple timer. The objective here is to beat the GDQ run. Get a new marathon record.
That should... I was gonna say that should be easy, but that does suppose that the checks are good.
Yeah. Yo, Stella, how's it going? Let's see. How do I put text? Here. Toast, how's it going? That is a massive text.
By the way, you want to... Generally, you want to decrease the font size from the properties. You might not care so much, but in general, if you make it smaller by dragging like that, it makes the letters artifacty. You see how they're kind of jagged? That doesn't happen if you just decrease the font size from properties. Up to you if you care about it for this, but just in general, a good thing to know.
I see. I'm trying.
Yeah, honestly.
It's hard to stream. Oh, by the way, what do you think about acknowledging the chat during the run? I won't be doing it, but you can do it if you want. What's your opinion on that?
I can have it open on my tablet or in a different tab and look at chat. Absolutely. That's something I can do. That's me.
May the text loop around. Yeah. No, I'm good. Okay. Alright, cool. So now I'm talking to the chat. Chat, I won't be reading you a whole lot, just so you know. I might read you, I might not read you. We're gonna do a practice.
Do you want me to look at your...
Do
you want me to look at your chat as if I, like, the way I would be looking at chat on GDQ?
That'll actually be a very good practice for you.
Yeah.
Okay. So, BigNoNo will be looking at you, chat. I won't. Just so you know.
That doesn't mean I'll be acknowledging you. Maybe
yeah.
If you're good.
Okay. So, we're gonna do one test run. At least. I don't know if we can do two, it depends. We'll see. And what else? I think that's it. Well, I guess I'm saying what the fuck this is. We're gonna be on GDQ Hotfix this Wednesday. It's 10 p.m. EST. And so yeah, I don't think Toast can catch it live. Sorry, Toast.
I'm actually very lucky that I prematurely fucked up my sleep schedule. So like, I can be up at 5 a.m. no problem.
Oh, it's 5 a.m. for you?
You said 10 p.m. your time?
No, EST. That might be my time. Let's see. EMT minus 4. EST
EMT minus 4, yeah.
Oh, that's crazy.
That's EST.
I see. Wait, is it?
Yeah, I was surprised because I used to think you're 5 hours ahead of me, but now you seem to be 7. I don't know. Maybe different DST times, or I don't know if Chile even has DST.
I don't know what DST is.
Daylight savings time. Basically, when you shift the clock 1 hour backwards or forwards.
Oh, that shit. Yeah,
according to
we
the
do
season.
that because we're crazy. Oh, that's 5 a.m. Oh, I'm so sorry, no.
Ah, that's fine.
All right.
All in a day's work.
Okay. Chad, by the way, do you hear Nono? What is called Chile? No, say something funny to the chat.
Fuck. Is that funny enough?
Yeah, Chad, is that funny enough? Is that good enough on volume? Like I tested on my side. No.
No, it's not funny, or no. They don't hear me.
Or it's not loud enough. Shit. That wasn't
Okay,
funny.
that's funny.
Okay, that means
I agree.
you heard it. So I think we're on the good. Okay. I might be talking slightly louder because I haven't used phones in a while. I'll try to measure myself.
Yeah, I've also been living the no headset life.
Yeah, it's so good. Since I started using glasses, it's also like more difficult.
Oh yeah, definitely.
1 second. When are you doing GDQ Hotfix? Wednesday. Wednesday. You know what? Let's just put the time on the text. There you go.
Nice.
I don't like that on. Hang on.
I was going to say use the Yakuza font, but I forget that you need to install that one especially.
Yeah. It did remind me about the font I like though.
Ooh, that's actually nice. What font is that?
This is Agency FB.
Nice.
The one I use for because it's a little bit similar to hybrid stuff. So I usually use it for videos.
Yeah. Agency FB. Nice.
Probably my favorite font. Okay. All right. Let's chat. Just so you know, everyone. Just so everyone knows, I hate this. I hate this. Okay. I do this for the numbers. But okay. I'll do my best.
Wait, which part?
I don't like doing marathons.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, no, I hate it. I super hate it. But it's fine. It's fine. I have to.
Did not know that.
Yeah. But it's alright. Just think I didn't say that.
No, that's
Okay. Honestly, I'm just gonna skip the intro. Let's just intro during Alex. Okay.
okay. Cool.
How about that? Okay. Okay. So welcome everyone.
Yeah. Go ahead.
This is Eternal Darkness. I'm Pandora Jane. Here on the commentary, it's BigNoNo helping me.
What's up? I am not Pandora Jane.
Nice. And I am not BigNoNo. There you go.
Yeah.
So we're gonna start here. In 3, 2, 1, go.
Although I like to believe, you know how Zelteth has two voices. One is Jennifer Hale and the other is Kim May Guest. I like to believe that for Eternal Darkness speedruns, we are the two voices.
Yeah, that's a very good one. So there is this thing in StarCraft. When there's two commentators, they're called a commentator archon. That's what we are. So we start here with Alex. Alex is trapped in a little dream here. It's basically a cutscene. We can't really do a whole lot. Maybe I'll try to get a leg target. But yeah, we're stuck here. And after that, she's gonna get some bad news. So
This
tell me
is,
about that, Nono.
So you maybe wonder how I ended up in this state. So Alex is a student, and she gets a phone call during the night from the police that her grandfather Edward has been murdered at his mansion, and she comes down to Long Island to see what happened. There's clearly been some foul play because someone decapitated him, and that's how the police found him. And she insists on staying at the mansion until the mystery is solved. To which point she gets to this room, which isn't a room you typically see in a house like this, and it contains this book called The Tome of Eternal Darkness, which is an accounting of the history of humanity's encounters with these eldritch creatures, these ancient gods that we're about to see more of during this run. And the way the game is structured is every chapter in the game is a chapter from the book. It shows a different character facing up to these elder gods. And this is the first one. This is Pius, who is a Roman general. And he is about to encounter some pretty interesting things down here. These little guys who, they're called Mantarok zombies. I just refer to them as skeletons. Already you can see some speed tech here. Pandora is picking up these items in a very specific way. You'll see that when she picks up an item, the camera just snaps to that item's position. If your position is off, then the camera will sort of pan slowly into where the item is, except if your character is on the trajectory of where the camera would go. And by going into those positions, Pandora actually saves the time of the camera pan, so it speeds things up considerably.
Yeah, so here...
Sorry, go ahead.
I'm gonna interrupt you a little bit. So, something important to note is that, well, this game has a lot of characters, and just like Nono said, what is happening is every time Alex encounters a page of the tome, you're gonna play as that character. So this is basically Alex is reading this right now. And another important thing is these colors and these blocks right here serve as a like implicit tutorial, or at least foreshadow of what is to come. Those colors represent the ancients, but also are tied to mechanics of the game and stats. So Chaturga, the red one, is health. The magic blue one, Uyath, that is magic. And the green one is sanity, which is Celota, which is one of the most interesting and innovative aspects of this game.
Yes, by the way, great execution, that trick. So normally Pius is supposed to push the button, but due to the way Pandora moved in that room, he actually pushed away from the button, which saves having to turn around later. It's not a big time save, just some cool movement tech. And yeah, Pandora was alluding to this earlier. These three artifacts represent the three ancients that we're going to deal with in this run. And she picked the blue artifact because that just gives us the fastest route.
Was the true beginning.
For a reason that we'll see, I think, as early as Kareem's chapter, but we still have some time to go before then.
Yeah, we actually lose like a tiny bit on time on Elia. And we're gonna lose a tiny on Peter because of it. Like, Celota is actually faster on those ones, but Kareem, Lindsay, and Max, but especially Kareem, are just super faster on Uyath. Okay, so here we have a little trick. Let's see if we can get it. We have two cutscenes here. One triggers when we kill the zombie, the other one triggers when we complete the puzzle. And maybe we can get both trigger at the same time. There you go.
Beautiful.
And so
I really love this trick.
There you go. There's the two. We're gonna see Elia invisible for like a couple frames. And we are... That trick is funny because we are... During the other cutscene, we actually have a method to move in the other cutscene. And we could do a warp to the other room if only Elia wasn't stuck in a box out of bounds. But sadly, she's the girl in the
that
box,
happens to
so
me.
yeah.
But yeah, one thing you'll see Pandora do a lot here, and in general a lot more as the run goes on, is these little walking animations. The reason for that is this game has a hidden stamina system that it never really tells you about. But you can run until you run out of stamina, and then you have to obviously recover stamina. What the game doesn't tell you is if you do that slow walk, you recover your stamina twice as fast as if you were just standing still or walking, which is really, really interesting. Again, not documented anywhere, not even in the instruction manual. So yeah, there's a lot of slow walking for that reason, because you can move and you can restore your stamina more quickly.
Yeah,
But yeah,
what the instruction manual tells you is, I think you can sneak with X. Now the problem is it's only on the manual. The game itself never tells you you can hold X to sneak. And I've seen a lot of casual players never do it because of that.
Exactly, and get stuck later on a later puzzle.
Exactly. Yeah, it's one of the trickier parts of Elia.
And this is really one of the big differences between, you know, just being okay at this run and being optimal, is knowing how to portion out your stamina and how to make up for, you know, having to use it in different ways. Very, very important for the run.
A very cool aspect of this game, that something I really like when I was young and I played it, is you can see immediately how the different ancients are adversaries, because you see the different color zombies fight each other.
By the way, this big guy here, his name is Mentorok. He gets no respect in this game, unfortunately. The cutscene we just skipped was Pius coming in and just basically teasing him a bunch, which is very uncool. Let go of my boy.
Alright, are we gonna get troll or not? I actually have a new strat here. I readjusted my stamina route there, so hopefully never get troll again. And any boxes here? Any Elia in the box? Hopefully not.
You can actually get boxed in by these zombies if you get bad luck, but we should be fine.
Yeah, that's
yeah,
super good.
Free. But yeah, the troll that Pandora was alluding to is sometimes one of these zombies can just stand in one of these archways in a way that you just can't get past. And it's a pretty significant time loss. It's very annoying when that happens. Other than that, though, the timing of the traps and everything is it's deterministic. So if your movement is good and you know what you're doing, then you can get through these rooms consistently without much of an issue.
Yeah, Elia presents a very high difficulty spike for casual players. You get to Elia, and something cool about the game is, since you have different characters, they have like different personalities, different professions, and all that. They also have different stats. And something about Elia is she doesn't have a whole lot of HP, and there's a lot of traps. So, and also when you are low HP, your character starts limping. And so the game becomes even harder, and yeah, so it's kind of a hard second chapter, I would say, for a lot of people.
Yeah, absolutely. By the way, reminder to save here before reading Anthony.
Okay, thanks. Done this pause.
I'm just gonna stay quiet until you do that. Yeah, a lot of these saves are for safety. Some of them are for more specific speedrun tech that we're going to talk about later. Either way, one of the really cool things this game does that I feel is under-discussed, because everyone talks about the sanity effects, and understandably, because they're very cool. But the thing I really like about this game is that not only do you go between chapters and, you know, see these stories of all the different characters, but every chapter gives you more knowledge, more abilities that you then use to access the next chapters and also open up more of the mansion. So right here, when Pandora picked up the Anthony chapter page, we saw that she solved one of the puzzles exactly like the ones that were during the chapter with Alia. And that's going to be a theme that's going to repeat itself throughout the game, how humanity kind of builds its knowledge up to be able to deal better and better with the ancients.
Yeah, it's almost like it has like roguelike elements in the mansion.
It's, I would say, very Metroidvania.
Yeah, Metroidvania, no roguelike.
Yeah.
Yeah, the other
An
popular
Eternal
genre.
Darkness roguelike. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, this is Anthony. Anthony has not had a lot of luck in life. He had a message he was supposed to pass over to Charlemagne. He was suspicious, so he read it beforehand, and now he's cursed, and yeah, this is just going to keep happening throughout the chapter. Spoiler that Anthony's lot in life is never going to get any better, and mostly is going to get much, much worse.
Yeah, my guy here is cursed. Literally.
Yeah.
Okay, so we got the first circle of magic. So as you can see, it had a triangle. These triangles are always tied to magic and magical stuff. And this right here, this is zombie with a rune. This is how we're gonna get all our runes that we're gonna use for magic. So we're gonna kill this zombie. What we're gonna do is we're gonna defeat its head 3 times without cutting it. And that way we can directly damage its soul or main HP. And that makes the fight a little bit faster. Once we get 3 runes, we can make our first spell. And then later on we're gonna get more runes, more combinations for more spells, and so on.
Yeah, the spell system is really interesting in this game. Every spell is made up of 3 runes, like Pandora said. One is the alignment, which ancient it's aligned with, and specifically if it's aligned with, health, sanity, or magic. And the other 2 are verbs that we pick up from defeating enemies. Now, you probably saw when we defeated the first zombie with the rune how slow the death animation were. By killing that zombie next to the door and interacting with it at the same time, Pandora just goes to the other room and immediately skips that entire animation. It's really, really cool. And we're going to see even cooler versions of that coming up. Now we're going to see urn skip. This is I would say the first big trick of the run.
Also
and
the first big
cool.
skip discovered.
Oh, nice. So Pandora is going to mix those 2 parts of the urn and interact with the door as she gets hit by the zombie. That allows her to access the menu and cast a spell during this menu. And as she casts the spell, when the spell is over, the game lets her move again. So she can move during this cutscene. We kind of overload the game knowing that we're not supposed to be moving while casting a spell and not supposed to be moving during a cutscene, and you just cancel one of them into the other, which is really, really nice. And so we can go through the door while that bishop is crossing through, and we immediately skip the entire puzzle that you're supposed to do in that room, which is really, really cool and a very significant time save.
Yeah, it's gotta be like a minute, or just under a minute of a save. It was our the very first big skip that we got in the game.
And I think you could kind of see this with the zombie trick we did with Alia. A lot of the tricks in this game are just moving when you're not supposed to. And we're going to see some really, really big examples of that coming up. But yeah, right here is actually... Oh, you know what? Did you save and load before the bishop fight?
Yeah, I did.
Sorry.
Yeah, don't worry. That one is part of the run, so it's harder for me to forget.
Okay. What you're going to see Pandora do here is she's setting up for something we're going to do later. But basically, if you look at the upper right corner, you'll see there's a B prompt. There's a, the button B and saying what pressing that button will do. By doing a certain kind of movement in that room, Pandora can store that prompt and use it for later. And yeah, we'll talk more about that when it becomes relevant.
Yeah, right now I have a state. So for everyone that is familiar with Zelda speedruns, you might know a glitch called GIS or GIM. So GIM is get item manipulation. GIS is what comes before that, which is get item state. So basically the game is like one step just before getting an item. That's what we have right now. We have GIS, get item state. And I want to transfer that into Alex. From this chapter into Alex. And that means I need to avoid a lot of B prompts.
Right here, this is a really cool skip. What's supposed to happen here is we're supposed to fight a mini. Basically, the game introduces. That's a shame.
Yeah.
So what was supposed to happen here is Pandora was going to use a B prompt storage to skip past the trigger for this fight. Just skip it completely. Unfortunately, that didn't happen, so she's just going to have to fight this guy normally. These guys are called horrors. They are probably the hardest normal enemy you fight in the game. Very big, very aggressive. But yeah, Pandora is a pro, so she dispatched with it quickly. But you can completely bypass that fight. It's just kind of tricky.
Yeah.
B-prompt storage is not the easiest thing to do in the first place, and using it correctly just takes very precise positioning. And
okay, so
Anthony, and
what do we have to do now?
Immediately after this.
Exactly. Nice.
Yeah.
That's the most important thing. I've lost so many runs because I just forget to save here. This save is part of the run because we're gonna need this for later. So from now on, I'm gonna start saving on a different slot on the next save. Because we want to keep that one for way later in the game. Because that save is the one that has GIS. We're going to need that later for GIM, which is get item manipulation.
And coming up here, this is one of my favorite chapters. I don't know about you, Pandora. I definitely would say it's one of probably the hardest chapter in the game.
Yeah,
well,
it is my
not
favorite
anymore
too.
with reverse skip. Yeah.
It's just the Ramdao. It's so cool. And Kareem is so cool.
Modern psychology of.
But yeah, Kareem is traveling in the desert looking for an artifact dreamed of by the woman he wants to marry. The things he does for love, etc., etc. And from this point onwards, we kind of forgot to talk about the Hall of Screaming. But everyone past Alex and Pius who gets the Tome of Eternal Darkness gets it from this hall. And once you have access to the Tome of Eternal Darkness, you have access to spells, which is where a lot of the game's speed tech comes in.
Yeah, and you can think of it as like transferring the knowledge of the other characters as well, or the knowledge of Alex, which also knows about the other characters, etc. So it gives you all the spells and everything you have so far, everything you learned so far. So something about Kareem is it's the most comeback heavy chapter in the speedrun. Casually speaking, it would be like among with Michael, which is one of the last ones. That one is also very comeback heavy, but in the speedrun you don't need to kill a lot of stuff if you don't have to. Whereas in Kareem, we have to kill a lot of stuff in order to progress. So it is the absolutely most combat heavy, and you're gonna see a lot of tricks and different things happening to optimize the combat.
Yeah. By the way, are you doing horror death skip?
Yeah, I should actually say before this. Yeah. Yeah. Because there could be a crash. There shouldn't, but it could be.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna say now.
But what you're going to see here is a very advanced version of what we saw earlier when Pandora skipped the death animation for the zombie with the rune. This is going to involve a horror that has a rune in it. And this can crash if you get a certain type of sanity effect on the next room after this. Which shouldn't happen, Pandora is very fast. But still better to be on the safe side. Also, what you saw there, you saw that Pandora unequipped and re-equipped that sword that cancels the shock animation from the lightning. Beautiful.
No crash, let's go.
Perfectly executed.
Nice sanity effect.
That is also a sanity effect, but oh, that was a really nice That was very nicely timed. Yeah.
Ooh.
Oh wow. Whew. What happened there?
So a lot of things happen right there. So
cheating. Hello.
the first thing that happened is we got a sanity effect, which is called a target marker or auto attack. Is your character doesn't attack without you doing an input for an attack. So every time you see a random attack, and I didn't input anything, that's a sanity effect. I have absolutely no control over it. It's fully random. And it happened in the worst place possible, because I actually don't want to get caught by a trapper in that room. Trappers are these little creatures that crawl around, and they don't attack you. Let's say they explode, and if you get caught by the explosion, you get teleported to the pocket trapper dimension, which is basically
like literally anti-speedrunner tech.
Exactly. It's like 15 to 30 second time loss, which is a lot. Yeah, and then we just barely skip it by going to the loading zone.
Okay, so you can see the zombies, these blue zombies singing. Once the zombies start singing, as far as the game is concerned, they are dead. And this is the big reason why Ulyav, or one of the big reasons why Ulyav saves so much time. Because you may have noticed while we were talking about trappers, that Pandora was using the feature of the game that allows you to watch cutscenes from before. Some of these cutscenes actually clear out the room from defeated enemies. Specifically, if you have one of these singing zombies and you watch those cutscenes, when you load back in, the game just immediately despawns them. And once all enemies are despawned, then the next wave can load in, so that really, really speeds up that wave combat portion.
Yeah, so this right here, Karim currently has the Ramdao. Ramdao is the strongest melee weapon in the game. It is absolutely broken, like it's not even close how strong this is to every other melee weapon.
We're actually going to see just how powerful it is in the fight coming up here. Reminder to save before the barrier fight.
Yeah. Yeah, because this one can go wrong as well.
Yeah. So what's supposed to happen in the room coming up is there's going to be a magical barrier going up, and enemy waves will spawn behind it, and you're supposed to wait for them to come in and fight them that way. We've got a different idea on how to do things. So with that little trick there, Pandora allowed herself to move during the cutscenes, so she can actually be behind the barrier. So, you know, it's a I'm not stuck here with you, you're stuck here with me situation. And this is very, very difficult. A very precise execution part of the run. But basically the idea here is to get rid of enemies in a way that you kind of optimally set up the next wave of enemies, because if Pandora does everything correctly, there's only one enemy she has to defeat on the last wave. And that will really show us the power of the Ramdao when we get to that point.
One for the fans.
Zombies.
I'll do it. I'll do it. It's slower, but we'll do one for the fans. Let's do another one.
There you go.
Alright. We did it.
So there's two cutscenes that can despawn enemies. Everyone likes the rats cutscene though, so you gotta give the people what they want.
Yeah, so that cutscene, so the intro cutscene, in fact, it doesn't work on the US version, which is the version we used to run a lot. But in the Japanese version, it does work because it loads an empty room. And it's actually just a tiny bit faster. It's like 0 point something. But since you watch it so many times, it ends up saving time.
Yeah.
But everybody loves the rats, so we're gonna give you the rats a little bit.
It's a marathon after all.
Yeah.
Okay, so.
Okay, so next we're gonna have Max. So as you can see, we got enchant item during Karim. So we can use our now enchanted Gladius to open this little door here, this lock. And this will unlock the first chapter that is actually on the mansion as well. This is one of the...
I was shocked by the sudden mention.
One of the ancestors of Alex, basically. So right here on the very first room, we're gonna look for the best movement possible. Let's see if we can get it. This doesn't look as tricky as it is. That, I'm not actually sure if that's gonna work. We're gonna see. We're gonna know if that's gonna work on the next trick.
Yeah, that's a big time save that Pandora is setting up. That is very, very tricky to get. You just need very specific movement in that room. Oh, I forgot. Max also doesn't get the tone from the Hall of Screams.
Yeah, basically, there is the people on the mansion get it from the secret room. And Elia, it's also a very special case. She just has it for some reason. She's very special.
But okay, this is a big instance of skipping one of those room death cutscenes. Did we get it?
No. Yeah, the thing is, I did the punch in the door a little bit too early.
So yeah, if Pandora did everything correctly, then she'd be able to shoot the rune next to the door and like interact with the door as she was shooting, but it was just a bit off, so that's fine. It's not the biggest it's not the biggest issue.
Yeah, so I don't remember if we talk about this, but you probably seen me doing some punches on doors.
Oh yeah.
That's so every time you go through a transition between one room and another, you will trigger an animation on the next room of your character closing the door. So your character will be facing at the door, doing an animation. You can cancel that if you just input an attack before that.
Yeah, and the reason why you want to do that a lot of the time is it lines up your character in a better for certain kinds of movement. We don't always do that. Some screens you actually want the animation going into the room, but most of the time we're going to be punching doors, ladders, etc. And here's another rune horror. A bit of a trick here that Pandora used to move during the cutscene of the rune screaming, so she could get closer earlier. By the way, this game has really, in terms of the speedrun, just has incredible menuing. So much of the time save here is knowing how to make these spells optimally, knowing how to use your inventory optimally. Some really, really cool stuff.
Yeah, and something we've done already a couple times. We did it on Karim, we did it a little bit on Anthony, we just did it right now. There's a trick, it's probably one of the most powerful tricks in this game. We call it free cast. So usually, normally, when you cast a spell, you cannot move. If you move, the spell gets cancelled. Also, if you get damage or anything like that, you have to be completely still until the spell finishes, which is similar to a lot of like RPGs or MMOs, for example. It's the same idea. But there is a glitch where you start casting a spell, then you open the menu, try to manually do an enchant, but then cancel the enchant, like tell the game, no, I don't want to enchant anything. After that, on pause, you actually are free to move during the spell, hence the name free cast. And you can also like link that into other spells and do a multicast and things like that, double cast, etc. It's an extremely powerful trick. It's also like the dream of the casual gamer, because you know you constantly get your spells cancelled by enemies and all that. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's really cool. We actually should have talked more about this earlier, but the Guardian here, this is a very RNG heavy fight, because after a few shots, the Guardian will teleport to another location, and where it goes and how long it takes it to get there is random. That was actually really good.
That was awesome.
This was a very, very good Guardian fight. And that's Max. But yeah, Freecast, we're going to see some incredible uses of Freecast. Like Pandora says, when you cast an enchant, the game opens up the dialogue that tells you, okay, which item of yours do you want to enchant? And by canceling out of that, it's almost like you unlink yourself from the spell you've already started casting. Yeah, we'll see a lot of applications of that. I'd say Freecast is probably the basis of the most powerful speed tech in this run.
Yeah, it also makes the run a lot more entertaining. Like Toast said in the chat, so now we have 3 spells, like 3 slash spells. That means 3 runes. Later on, you get 5 spells with 5 runes. And at the end of the game, you're gonna get 7 spells. And the wait for 7 spells is massive. So, yeah.
Yeah, anyone who's played this game knows that waiting for the 7-point spells to cast is just takes forever. But yeah, we're coming up on what is generally one of the harder parts of the game, but especially with the tricks that Pandora is going for right now, it's a big run killer. There's 3 big checks, I guess, for tricks in this run, and this is going to be one of them. So right here, you see that Pandora picked up a bronze bracelet. She's supposed to go into this other room and pick up a necklace as well and use it, and we're going to try and skip that, hence we call it bronze skip. So let's see if she manages to do it. The setup for this is very precise. Basically, what Pandora is going to do here, this enemy, the gatekeeper, are they called? Yeah. This gatekeeper here will summon a zombie. And once it does, we're going to let it and then kill it. And what Pandora is going to try and do is she's going to try and get this zombie to push her into the wall in a specific way that allows her to just get past the wall's collision. And this is also going to involve casting like a magic barrier here that she's going to trap the zombie with.
Let's go!
Oh, bronze skip, let's go. This is like one of the hardest tricks in the game. Very impressive. And there's no real backup for this. Like, if you don't get it, you don't get it. You either eat the time save or you reset. But yeah, very nice. Also a nice property of Julio's zombies that you're going to see here.
Actually, we're not gonna see it.
Yeah,
they were very mean.
Yeah, that was weird. Usually when you kill one of them, they start singing and they all die. But anyway, just like there's bronze skip, there is silver skip for the silver necklace and bracelet here. This is much easier to execute. Oh, beautiful. That's incredible. That's really good.
Okay.
Imagine if this BBs.
No, this cannot be.
No, it can't be.
Yeah, not anymore. Not after the last record we got.
I also forgot to tell you to save after the boss gate.
Yeah, no, it's fine. We got it. Magic. Okay, it should waste. Probably one more. Yeah, okay.
Okay, this is also a very difficult. Well, it's a very specific trick, I should say. Very accurate. So what Pandora is going to try and do here is she's going to try and set up movement during a cutscene. In this game, just like many other games, there is always technically a playable character on screen. It's just sometimes off to the side. Oh, you didn't get it. Okay,
yeah.
Forget I said anything.
Let's see. Okay, I need a... Please work. Thank you. Alright, haven't played the hallway in forever. How do I play this hallway? Let me see if I remember. I think it's
this room again?
Yeah. Okay, that should be fine. Hopefully we don't get a sanity effect. At least I can do a fricas here. Not that one. It's alright. It's fine.
Yeah, that's a bit unfortunate, but it's not too bad. That trick is really cool. That's why I personally am always bummed when I don't get it in a run, but it only saves a few seconds. It's not that big. Right? Am I right about that?
It's not that bad as well. It's like 6 seconds if you're really good at it. So it basically depends on your menu and other things. But yeah, right there, I think I got a misinput on the dispel, I believe. Like I didn't press the dispel, or maybe I forgot to free cast it. It's actually not an easy trick. It has a lot of parts to it.
Yeah. We'll get to see something kind of based on a similar idea much later in the run.
Yeah, so
yeah,
we skip
is...
bronze. We skip. Ooh, we have a sanity effect. That's a very good one. I wanna keep it. We skip the bronze gate. We skip the silver gate. Sadly, the gold gate we cannot skip it. So we have to spend these items here.
Not yet.
Yeah, not yet. That's true. If these zombies right here weren't Mantorok, if they were any other alignment, we could probably skip it. Because Mantoroks are the only ones that cannot grab you. And so we can't really do the weird collision trick.
Yeah, the skip tech is always just getting one of these zombies, like sandwiching him between you and the magic barrier and getting pushed into the wall. One thing we haven't talked about, maybe this is a good time to mention a bit about how sanity effects work.
Yeah.
Because the idea is there's a timer that always runs, that when it hits 0, the game checks whether it should give you a sanity effect, right? Am I saying this correctly, pretty much?
It's when it hits a minute, basically. It starts from 0,
Okay.
and when it hits a minute, so it counts on frames. It hits a minute, it will trigger a sanity effect on your, like, sanity variable. And some sanity effects activate immediately. Some others wait until the next room. And, ooh. Hopefully this cancels this. Please. Okay, thank you. Oof, that was scary. I almost lost explosion. But we didn't lose it, I'm pretty sure. I hope.
That's exactly what I was kind of wanting to talk about. Ooh, that's unfortunate. But yeah, one of the more unique sanity effects is what Pandora mentioned, explosion. Explosion is when you try to heal and the game trolls you by just exploding your character and then it reloads the room. It's supposed to be like it got you for like you were trying to heal and you died instead, ha ha ha. The thing is, once you try to heal and the game sees that you are supposed to get an explosion, it resets the sanity effect timer. So as a result, once the explosion sanity effect, once the game knows it needs to give it to you, every time you try to heal, it resets the sanity effect timer. And that's a very, very powerful way of avoiding sanity effects. Until a certain point in which we'll actually have to trigger explosion, which is not long from now.
Yeah, it's kind of sad that you can only see explosion once per playthrough, basically. Once you get explosion, there is a flag that is set up that tells the game to never show it again. So what happened there is I'm using explosion to avoid sanity effects, but I almost trigger it by accident, which wouldn't been extremely bad because I actually need it for a later skip. But we're on the safe.
And that's Lindsay. Again, Pandora's making this look easy, but this is like, I think especially now with bronze skip, this is probably the hardest part of the run.
Okay, so we're gonna start doing some cancel spells there. After Alex, you're gonna see that after every time we finish a chapter, and that's to avoid a sanity effect called the sequel sanity effect. You see a little bit of to be continued of the game, a little troll to the player.
Yeah, there's the sequel one. There's one that tells you that you're playing the demo. There was never a demo for this game. And they're very funny sanity effects, but they're also very time consuming. So doing these little effects, this is a very important thing to talk about. This is the most powerful, arguably, use of freecast. So What's supposed to happen during that cutscene is the ghost of Max is supposed to cross into that room, and then it erects a barrier behind him, and you can't go into it. By using FreeCast, we're able to move during the cutscene and actually get into the room before Max, just cut ahead of him, which allows us to completely skip the chapter that's supposed to help you access this room. So this skips the entirety of the Edward chapter. So Edward
In
is
Europe,
not in this speedrun.
During the time of the Inquisition.
He is in a different speedrun category of Eternal Darkness called 100%, which is a very, very cool run in itself. But that's for another time. So that was Edward skip. Just FreeCast, it's a very, very easy trick, and it skips an entire chapter. It's very powerful.
Yeah, also the longest chapter is like 17 to 20 minutes.
Yeah, there's also, I think, a lot of people will agree that one of the most tedious things you do in the game, you have to do twice, once as Edward and once as Alex, and by cutting that off, you only do it once as Alex. In Hondo, you only have to do it as Edward, so it works really nicely, like very complementary runs.
Yeah, just a beautifully aligned speedrun, I would say.
Yes, and we actually should say something about the category, because I almost said it was any percent, which it isn't.
Oh, yeah.
Actually. But do you want to quickly talk about the moving in Bell cutscene?
Yeah, we can talk about that, and after that we have a lot of walking around, so then we can talk about categories.
Yes. Okay, so the idea here is to do two things. One, once we're going to use the bell here, it's going to summon the custodian, who's going to come in here and talk to us, and we cut the wait for him short by being able to move during the cutscene and talk to him. Another thing is we need to summon a trapper at some point. But yeah, by being able to move halfway down these stairs, we can talk to him early and just get out of here. This is kind of a dangerous trick. It doesn't save that much time, and you can get soft-locked, but of course Pandora didn't get soft-locked because she's goated.
Yeah, that one's hard. You have to move. So something that people keep saying online, I don't know why, but people keep saying that this game has tank controls. It doesn't. This game has 3D controls that are based on the camera, which makes some tricks when you move out of camera especially hard. You have to memorize some specific angles on your control stick. The good thing is, since we're playing on GameCube, the octagonal shape of the control stick helps a lot. There's very, very specific angles you can get, and they're very reliable. But it's still scary. Like, especially there, if you get stuck out of camera, there's not an easy way to recover your camera, and so you can literally just get stuck forever.
Yeah, I've noticed that too, that a lot of people seem to think this game has tank controls. I would actually say this game was really ahead of its time in how nice the controllers are, like how it managed to like give you, 3D controls without the hassle that you get in a lot of other games doing that, like some of the earlier Silent Hills and Fatal Frames.
Yeah, the camera work in this game, I would say, is amazing. I think the developers did an amazing work. You can actually see it. We have a little bit of debug things in the memory that are left over from the devs, and there is a debug that allows you to see the path of the camera in real time, and you can see like all the incredible work they did with the cinematic and all that to make it just so it doesn't get too confusing for the player.
Yeah, honestly, this game has so many, like, these little underrated touches to them. The combat system, too. We're going to see this, but the way you can target different body parts in this game, we just saw it right now, but we'll see more of it when Pandora fights Anthony. In general, I think melee combat is one of the more frustrating things to do in most other horror games, and in here it just works really well. Speaking of Anthony, he's in here and he's not going to have a good time, so Pandora did a trick to skip a cutscene trigger here, and as a result, Anthony's first phase never really gets activated, so we can just completely wail on him without him being able to do anything. For his second phase, he's not going to fare much better because he has a very slow get-up animation. Yeah, that's Anthony.
A very unfair fight.
Yeah, like we said before, this is not a man who's had a very who's been very lucky in life. You'll see Pandora moving slowly there because the cutscene trigger that we skipped is still there, and if you go into it, you get soft locked. So you got to be careful on that.
Yeah. There's like two triggers there. There's the door trigger and the cutscene. The cutscene one is a little bit smaller, but not that much smaller, so you want to get just inside of the door trigger without touching the other one.
But yeah, just I think it would be a dereliction of duty to show a run of this game and not just recommend people play it, because this is such a good game. It has, I believe it has aged very well. It does have some slower parts to it, but it really is one of the more special games you'll ever play. Oh, and speaking of that, we mentioned the category. So this category is not any percent. This is any percent no CS. CS stands for cutscene storage, which is a trick that you can do by essentially watching a cutscene and skipping it on a very specific frame. And something about that just teleports you forward in the game to the point where using a bunch of these you can essentially get a credits warp. The actual 80% run for this game is, the record is 6 minutes?
Yeah,
something like
just
that.
over 6 minutes.
Just over 6 minutes. Which, you know, is cool in its own way, but not really if you want to see the game and play more of it. So the main category is 80% no CS, which just bans use of that trick. And yeah, other than that, I think the main thing is, do you want to talk about versions, or should we leave that for another time?
Oh, we can talk about versions. So we started running in NA, NTSC, for a while, and later on we started digging into more versions. So this game was developed Silicon Knights, so that's Canada. So that means the first version is actually the US version, unlike on other games. So there's a lot of games where you end up using the Japanese version because it's the earliest one. In this one is the opposite. The Japanese version is the later one. And it's actually the one we are using. Even though we have English text and all that, this is the Japanese version, just with the English text option activated. Which, by the way, unlocks after you finish the game.
Yeah,
which is
English text
really
is a
weird
New
decision.
Game Plus feature. Yeah, very strange. Silent Hill is something like that as well, where I think like some of the graphical options are only available after New Game Plus. I guess devs at the time really wanted to find some kind of replayability.
Yeah. And the thing is,
yeah,
the text is formatted in a different way. So even though it is this, it's the same language, a lot of the text is faster on this version. And the other thing is, being a later version, devs have more time to optimize stuff. They change some of the stuff, like physically on the DVD, where things are on memory and things like that. So the loading is slightly faster, and that's why we use this version.
And basically, before people realized that you can use English text in the Japanese version, there was kind of a question of which is faster. But now it's the best of both worlds.
Yeah, and for a while, the answer was the Korean version, which is an extremely hard to find version. And also there is a little bit of like ethical question of, is it allowed and all that, because there is not actually Korean GameCubes. And like Korean, or rather, there is Korean GameCubes. There's no
Wii's.
Korean Wii's that can read GameCube games. And you wanna use a Wii, not a GameCube, because it's faster loading times. But now there is no problem. Everything is solved.
Finding out about English text in the Japanese version was huge, and something that came from just a completely random person who doesn't even speedrun the game.
Yeah, I
Someone
commented
very
YouTube.
Yeah, YouTube commenter just very innocently asked why not use English text in the Japanese version. And yeah, here we are.
I would love to see a sanity effect.
Reminder to save before 5 circles skip.
Yep. Can you give me one game? No? Nothing? Okay. I just hope we don't get one during the trick.
Yep, hopefully. We kind of lied here in that we said that later in the game you get 5-point spells. We're not going to get them. The only time you really need a 5-point spell in the game is right here to cross this barrier. And Pandora is going to...
erase my memory, I guess. I'm sorry that the run is cancelled.
This is one... I think this is a sanity effect that got everyone pretty much. But yeah, so what Pandora is going to do here, she's going to summon a trapper in a very specific position. And the thing is, you can move after... Right there, you saw Paul move. You can move after summoning a trapper if you do the free cast right. And it kind of ignores parts of your hitbox, if I understand correctly. So you can just cross barriers that you wouldn't be able to cross normally. That was the difficult part, and yeah, she got it first try. That's... I can't describe to you how many runs I've lost that trick. That is very, very difficult to execute correctly.
Yeah, don't worry, you're not alone. I lost a lot of runs there as well.
Yep. And on the way back, same kind of trick. This return part is much, much easier. Ooh, what's that?
Yeah, we got the B-Bron storage. Sometimes that happens. I need to release a little bit earlier. But yeah, that ended up being good. I'm happy because that is the... So before we talk about the first, I like to call it skill check of this run, which is bronze skip. That's the big one. The second big one is this one. And the third one is just incoming here in Alex. We're gonna see it, and I'm probably not gonna talk for like a long time. I'm gonna let Nono talk a lot. And during the piano, right after I do the piano, I'm gonna ask for silence for you.
No problem.
After the piano puzzle.
But yeah, the idea here is to skip Roberto's chapter by basically, we're going to go to where you pick up Roberto's chapter page, and via sequence of tricks, we're going to switch that Roberto chapter page into Peter's chapter page. Basically, just changing the item ID of what we get. Okay, so now I'm just going to be quiet and let Pandora do her thing.
Let's go. You can continue.
Nice. First try. That's amazing. That's amazing. But yeah, that was it. And this uses the B-prompt storage you got from Anthony in Chapter 3, correct?
Yeah. That's not what I want us to do. Okay, cancel that. All right. Okay, we have to advance this B-prom. So we're on the second part of the B-prom. So we are basically 1 B away from grabbing an item, but I don't have a get item state. So I'm gonna save here. And we're gonna load. This is the save file we did before, right after Anthony. And so we have a get item state here. We need to watch a cutscene to tell the game that my restore point is on this room. This way, the next time I do a restore point, which is basically what we did there on the piano, I'm gonna teleport to this room with all the states the game has, including the get item state. This part is frame perfect. First try, let's go.
Nice. This is all... I can't begin to describe how difficult this is just to understand, let alone execute. So that's
The war
amazing.
to end all wars redefined how mankind.
But these kinds of memory manipulations, this is the kind of thing that you can only come up with if you manage to really hack the game, which is where we're really indebted to a guy called Zur, who did a lot of really impressive work on this game and found a lot of these more advanced tricks. We're going to see a very similar kind of memory manipulation trick in this chapter. So this is Peter. Peter is a journalist, and he is in France in World War I. You'll notice that this is the same level. This is an expanded version of the level we were in during Anthony's and Paul's parts. This game has 4 levels, I guess, areas, whatever you want to call them, that kind of repeat throughout the game with certain variations. And this is the last time we're here at the cathedral.
Okay, we're gonna move into a cutscene here by summoning a trapper. If I do a free trapper into a cutscene on the next room, I can move on it. So let's see here. I'm right now moving out of camera. Right there. I need to do a specific movement right there so I don't get a massive sanity damage that we don't really understand why it happens. If my movement is correct here, the bounty will not look at me. That's very fortunate. It's a little random, but also a little bit depending on the player. And now we're gonna do this save Nono was talking about. So right here, we're gonna save the game. And this save is actually, let's say, mandatory for later.
Yeah, this is actually part of the route. This is not a safety save.
Yeah, there's actually a trick here to clip into this wall with the trapper and then clip back. It saves like 5 seconds, but it also can destroy your run. It's one of those tricks that I'm probably never gonna implement. Just the risk regard it's too big.
Yeah, once you get like 3 tricks in your run that either save you half a minute or kill the run, you're kind of not looking for the smaller time saves so much. Not the super risky ones, anyway.
What's going on here?
But yeah, this is the long menu here. So Pandora is going to prepare a bunch of 7-point spells. We lied about 5-point spells, but we didn't lie about 7-point ones. These are the most powerful spells that we're going to need during the run. And yeah, you can just kind of see Pandora is just blazing through these menus, doing some amazing work here. But yeah, that is for that.
So during this chapter, we're gonna be picking up a lot of items, a lot of extra items that you don't really need in the speedrun, especially if you're familiar with older speedruns of this game. This chapter is gonna look a little slow in some places, and that's gonna make sense later. Here we got another cutscene merge. We played these 2 cutscenes together. One is the opening this cabinet here with the piano. The other one is revealing the door. And when you play 2 cutscenes together, if one finishes during the other, you basically get movement during the second part.
Yeah, and there's going to be essentially every time you pick up an item or kill an enemy, it's going to shift stuff in memory. So there's a lot of very specific things that you're going to see Pandora do here, like picking up those shells. And in the next room, she's going to... Actually, no, not in this room, but in the next room after this, she's going to kill a zombie that you don't really need to kill. All these things are for memory manipulation, and you'll see their effect in a little bit.
We're gonna shoot through this
Also,
wall.
watch out for... Yeah.
There you go.
There's a lot of trappers here. We're going to shoot them, both for the memory manipulation, but also because they're just a pain in the ass.
Yeah, unlike Anthony, there's no way to walk around these trappers. So we have to kill them.
Oh no, a trapper! No, that's just a rat. That's like the ultimate troll by the game.
Yeah,
Just,
I love that.
Don't
they
you need
put...
to kill this trapper?
No. No, that trapper
Really?
actually doesn't move memory. That's a safety strat. Yeah.
Oh,
If you don't want to get caught by it.
Gotcha. Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, here in the last room, we're gonna
Island?
kill a bunch of zombies. Let's see if we can align them. No. Yeah,
And once again,
the
this
rifle can go through enemies, but it's very specific, so it's pretty much random if it gets on the line or not.
And that's another reason why Ulyath saves time on this chapter, because you can just shoot these zombies and just exit the room. Now, Pandora is going to save here, and she's going to load the save that she made earlier. Now, something important to know about summoned creatures in this game. You can only have one summoned creature at a time. If you summon one creature, and then another, the game kills the last creature you summoned. So, what we did right there makes the game think that it basically puts the state of us being about to summon a trapper from the earlier save into this save. And as a result, when we're going to summon a new trapper here, something very interesting is going to happen. Which I'm just going to let speak for itself, because to me this is one of the most mind-blowing tricks in the run.
Let's go!
Bye-bye. So because of the memory manipulations we did earlier, the game considers this guy, the Black Guardian, to be a creature we have summoned previously. So when we summon a new one, it just immediately kills that one, and it just works beautifully like that.
Yeah, that's called an insta-kill, or a summon insta-kill. And it's because the game has a stale reference between save files. It doesn't change your memory, the idea of your last summon between save files.
Mm-hmm.
And we can use it to insta-kill pretty much every enemy, but the Black Guardian right there, it's a very annoying boss, so that's the one where we use it.
Yeah, casually, that's another part of the game that a lot of people get frustrated with. It is kind of a very specific... Ooh.
Sorry, just my CRT turning off. Don't worry about it.
This happens with all TVs.
Yeah. Right there,
by the
we
way,
use the trapper to move in the cutscene again.
And that nurse is kind of a reference to something we would have seen in the chapter, in Edward's chapter, but we're never going to be in Edward's chapter, so... but yeah, we're actually going into the penultimate chapter of the run. We're going into Michael.
Yeah, so right after Peter, you would normally do Edward. On Peter, you get the lucky penny, which is a real penny, by the way, just so you know. And then later on, Alex gets the lucky penny, and she can use it here on the fuse. We're actually gonna use it. We're just not gonna use the fuse. So there you go. We're gonna get some extra bullets. I'm gonna summon a trapper. I'm gonna get some bullets for my trapper. So this trick right here, I need to do this in order to get these bullets into a different slot in the inventory, as you saw right there. Otherwise, they're all go pile on the same slot. I need to get a lot of extra items in my inventory, and that's to avoid a crash on the last fight of the game. Because since we jumped Roberto, chapter number 7, we never really read that page. That page still in my inventory. Every time you read a page, the game erases it. So it's an unintended item. It's an item you are not expected to have in the last fight. And any item with that property will crash the last fight. Except when you don't see it on the inventory. So as long as it's like way down on the inventory and we don't look at it, it's fine.
Now, this is Michael. Michael's a really cool guy. He's a Canadian firefighter. And he has a ton of stamina, a ton of health. He also has some, if you're playing casually, some really cool weapons. People, when they play this game, kind of seem hesitant to use the guns. I don't know if it's because the melee weapons are really good or just because they're afraid of wasting ammo. But yeah, they're really, really fun to use. In the speedrun, though, it's much faster not to pick up any of them.
But if you
And
want to see
just-
them, they're on 100%.
Oh, is that so?
Yeah,
I
we
didn't
get
remember.
the grenades and all that on 100%. It's pretty cool.
Nice. The grenade launcher is actually super broken, and it can very easily kill you if
Yeah,
you don't use it correctly.
it's too broken. Just too
Yeah,
powerful.
yeah.
Great responsibility.
But
Okay,
yeah,
right
the
here we're gonna
downside
see
of
a multicast. Let's see here. So I'm gonna cast a spell, and then out of it I'm gonna cast another spell, link it into it, and that way I can have free cast for 2 spells.
Yeah, you're basically chaining the free cast effect between different
No.
spells. Oh,
Alright.
no.
There goes 20 seconds.
Yeah. Sit tight, folks. So yeah, because we no longer have explosion, we used it for Roberto skip. We don't have a way of manipulating sanity effects. This used to be the entire run before
Yeah.
people discovered how to manipulate sanity effects. Like you would just have to wish for that you don't get a lot of bad sanity effects in your run.
It was on different times. Like back in the day, it was probably about 5 minutes or maybe up to 3 of just random sanity effects that you can get. Now we only get like a couple here in Michael at the end. It's the only place where we can really do manips because we don't have explosion, but we also need to maintain magic very high. So we can do no magic messages without the other method used to avoid sanity effects.
Did you in Hundo you keep it until Alex, right? Because you use it to skip Enga.
I keep it until here. I use it for bind skip.
Oh, right. Bind skip.
Here we're doing a
Anyway,
spell
right here-
inside of a sanity effect. That way you don't waste the magic. Because the game
the thing
remembers
is-
your stats from before.
Because Michael's magic is his worst stat. He doesn't have a lot of magic. You need to kind of save it wherever you can. Right here, this is where the game teaches you to spell bind, which allows you to basically take over a monster and have it fight for you.
Make your
We
bets.
used to have a trick for this in any percent no CS. However, these days we're back to just having to have it go to random chance. This is looking very slow. These guys are pretty evenly matched. Okay, one of them did the arm attack. Nice.
That was like 16, I think. That's alright.
That's not the worst.
Yeah. The average time is like 23, so I would even call that a good time. Alright, my health is really low, but we should be alright. This is the chapter that has the tightest stats. The stat management in this chapter is just, it's super tight. No, it's the other, this one. And a free cast. There you go.
Yeah,
We're gonna
so
link this
basically
one.
Pandora needs
Yeah, go
needs
ahead.
to enchant this C4 just as part of the story of the game, and also use a shield to skip past these. I wonder if, yeah. So when you finish enchanting an item, it pauses you and shows you this animation of the item being enchanted, and Pandora just managed to skip that by just timing a spell cast at a very specific point. Now, on the way out here, you want to use... we haven't talked about pools, actually. Pools are really powerful spells, which continually replenish the corresponding stats that you cast them in. So the sanity pool here is going to constantly give Michael extra sanity. And I guess one mechanic that we haven't mentioned yet is when you run out of sanity, all the sanity damage you take from seeing monsters transfers into health damage. And the way it works is sanity damage will always take you to 0 sanity at most, and then if you're at 0 sanity, then the damage transfers. So by using a sanity pool, you kind of give yourself that 1 point of sanity buffer, so that you never quite get that damage transferred into health. So sanity pool is actually better healed than a health pool. A health pool would just get you killed.
Yep. Or at best, get you into the very slow state, and we don't want that.
And that's Michael, and we are actually in the final part of the run, which is pretty long, but it is the last one.
Yeah, I'm very technical in some spots.
Yeah. So pretty soon we're going to... We didn't see the hallway skip for Lindsay. We're going to see something kind of similar here, so maybe this is a good time to start explaining how this works. Which is, in every cutscene, even if your character doesn't appear to be on screen, they're always either off to the side or on screen but invisible. And that means that if you can find a way to move during the cutscene, you can interrupt the flow of the cutscene and warp to where the cutscene takes place. And this is something that we're going to use right here. First of all, we're going to get this parcel that gives us the other artifact we need. This will also give you the enchanted gladius if you pick it up, but we're not doing that during the run.
Yeah, and some...
right
so
here-
you can see the cancel spells on every door. That's to avoid sanity effects. That's what we couldn't do on Michael, because the magic is too tight.
This room, by the way, is evil because so many people start playing the game and think they have to solve this puzzle, and they just never find a way of doing it because you're not supposed to do it until the very end. Right here, check this out. Oh, we just immediately went into the basement. So that is thanks to the trapper. The trapper allows us to move during the cutscene, and because the cutscene takes place in the basement, it's supposed to show you the way to Enga opening up. We just teleport that way. It's a really, really cool teleport. And Lindsay has a similar one that, again, we didn't get to see. But it saves a lot less time than this one.
Yeah, this one actually
one's
saves
like
a
30
lot.
seconds.
Yeah.
And now Enga, playing the
Dead
game
City.
casually, you'd see... Yeah. Playing the game casually, you'd have seen this part already in Edward's chapter, but here we see it for the first time in the run. And I have a reminder here to save before Spire number 4.
Okay.
I'll try to remember to tell you as well.
So right there, I use a no magic message to move during that cutscene. That's a trick you've seen the entire run. We talk a little bit about it, but there is something like I really appreciate this about this game, and I want more people to appreciate it. Is that this game has a lot of just like, again, I'm gonna bring Zelda again because I really like Zelda speedruns. This game has a lot of Zelda-like stuff. Like, you get glitches that give you tools, basically. So a no magic message, it's a tool that you can use on several glitches for several different things. And there are other tools. There's free casts, there's watching cutscenes during stuff, etc, etc. There's trappers, you know that trappers advance cutscenes, and so every time you need to advance that, you use that tool. And that's just very interesting because, again, you get an entire tool set to use at your disposal for different things. And I just want people to know that this game is really cool.
Yeah, it's really nice because there's also a randomizer for this game. This game, for not being that played by a lot of people, has amazing tooling to it. And the randomizer is really cool, and I've seen Pandora do randomizer runs and use speed tap tricks on that because, you know, like she says, it's very generic tools that you can use in a lot of different situations. So it's really cool to see them applied to those kinds of runs as well. By the way, just so I know, how do you number the spires?
Oh, okay, so the first one, now it's number 4, I'm gonna say. The first one from the left is number 1.
Okay, yeah.
And then to the right, the last one is number 9.
Yeah, I have the same numbering, just wanted to make sure.
That's a very good trapper.
There are some trappers in this part. We're going to have to use some tricks to get past, but that one was very well behaved. Okay, this is a fantastic trick. This is another one of my favorites. So right here, there's supposed to be a puzzle where a worm jumps out and gives you this sepia effect, and we will see that. But it's supposed to also wreck the barrier that prevents you from exiting the room. However, by using those trappers to move during that cutscene, we can actually exit the room with the sepia effect. Now, if you've played the game casually, you might know that the only way to exit the sepia state is to restore your sanity to, I forget, is it full or just...
It's exactly 94. And okay. For reference, Alex has 125 total.
Okay. So like almost full, but not quite. And this is going to be very interesting because when the sepia effect gets taken away, the game will teleport you to a certain point in the room you're in. Now keep that in mind, we'll use that in a bit. Right here you're going to see Pandora do what's called target running. Basically she's pressing the targeting button while running, as the name suggests, and that kind of tricks the trapper into thinking that maybe she's not running, and it allows us to get past them much quicker.
Yeah, it also stores your speed. Like every time you press target, your speed from your running speed is stored. So it's really amazing. Like it's really fast, much faster than sneaking.
By the way, are you not trying to do teleport cancels? Like, are you intentionally not doing them, or just trying to
portal cancels like this one?
Yeah.
No, I'm doing them. I'm just failing them because they're hard.
Fair enough. Yeah, they do. They're not a huge time save. It is nice if you get them though. Right here, this is a really cool skip because, again, what the game wants you to do is to summon 3 different creatures here. Some of them are spells that we haven't even made. And it turns out if you watch a cutscene, the cutscene that we use to despawn enemies, then you can just leave. You can just hit the bricks. You also saw that Pandora cast a sanity pool, so her sanity is going to increase gradually, which means that we are on a timer because we need the sepia effect in a specific room. So everything here has to be very tight.
Okay, so there is a 2.5 second save here that can crash your game. I do it on runs, I'm not gonna do it here.
Yeah. Are you going... Well, we'll talk about it in a moment. But okay, so you see there's 3 whores in a barrier, kind of similar to the situation we had with Michael. Here you would have to cast 2 bind spells. However, luckily, the point we get restored to after the sepia effect gets taken away in that specific room is right next to the exit. So if you do everything correctly, you just immediately get teleported. It's very nice. It's a really cool trick.
Yeah, that's what we call warm warp.
Yes. We don't talk a lot about the sanity worms in this game because they don't do that much, but they're alright. They help us out a lot. Do you want to do attack barrier skip?
Yeah, I'm gonna do it.
Okay, so just a reminder to save. But I'll remind you when you get to the last room.
Multicast here. We always want to... You want to start a free cast, and then right at the end of the spell, you want to start another one to link the free cast state into the next one. Otherwise, if you cast a spell, like you get a free cast, and then cast another one, but start moving immediately, it will cancel the first one. Because only one spell has the free cast state at the same time. There's also like a lot of like shield management, stamina management, magic management that the untrained eye is not seeing right now, but just know that we are doing all those things. So everything
really
is
can't be
planned here.
Really can't be understated how technical this run is. Despite never really having a huge community, there's just a huge amount of tricks for this game.
Yeah, you have no idea how many Enga routes I had speedrun this game.
This is a big target run room. This always scares me during my runs.
Yeah, we got very bad trappers there, in fact.
Yeah.
They're all in my way.
Also, maybe we can say a few words about what's actually happening here, because we've not really alluded to this, but with all the usually when you increase the amount of points in a spell, all it does is make the spell more powerful, like cure and a stronger cure, etc., etc. Summons are a bit different. When you have a 3-point summon, you summon a trapper. We've summoned many trappers during this run. When you have a 5-point summon, we've not gotten those, but 5 points are zombies and 7 points are horrors. If you count, there are 9 pillars here. And what we're doing is we're making a summon spell. So what does a 9-point summon do? We'll see in a little bit.
Yeah, and not just any like 9-spell summon. We are like doing it with all the power of the ancient city. But we're doing something very, very powerful here. Yeah, and my save is incoming a little bit. So this one has a crash possible, but it saves a lot of time. So we're gonna save. I'm gonna save during the trick because I have a pause there. And here you're gonna see all the things activated. So there is all these Paragon, these runes right here. Those are Paragons. That means power. It just increases the power of a spell. But then there is the 3 fundamental runes for this spell, and those ones you have to choose them wisely. If you get them wrong, then the spell is gonna fail basically.
The casual experience of getting to this point and just you hear.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see if she gets it.
And
Let's go.
we got it. There you go. Here, also moving out of camera. Fortunately, we are actually very lucky there because there is like 4 different cameras. All of them give different movement, but for some reason, if you just hold like down right, it works like a charm.
And that's I've lost 1 run to that trick crashing. I think I've seen you lose 1 to that. You probably lost more.
I don't know if I failed that. I failed the other one, the vine one.
Maybe
Okay.
that's the one I'm thinking of.
Save.
But yeah,
save.
that's us done for Enga, and now we're actually going into the very, very last fight of the run. This is the Pies fight. This is the guy we were at the beginning of the run.
The final showdown. Yeah, this guy got turned into a lich when he got the artifact. I think we kind of didn't catch that, actually, skipping all the cutscenes. But yeah, this is Pies.
There's a lot. This game's story is actually really, really good.
The good part is that by watching this speedrun, you're not getting that many spoilers. So you can still play the game after this.
It's not a spoiler that Pies is a bad guy, by the way. The game makes this very clear very early on.
Yeah. Okay, are we crashing or not? Let's see. No, we're fine. Let's go.
So the mechanics of this fight are very interesting. Basically, Pies has this artifact that's defending him, that's protecting him. Oh wow!
No, can we talk about this?
We can. So every time you hit Pius, the artifact will get put into a position in the room, and that position is random. However, that is like the worst version of that I've seen, because Pandora actually had to go to like one end of the room and then the other. That was insanely bad.
Yeah, so there is this thing we call artifact manipulations. Oh my god, are you kidding me?
Oh, no.
That just went through it? What? This game doesn't like me right now.
Yeah, unfortunately sometimes attacks can whiff here, and every time once you hit the artifact a couple of times, the ghosts of the previous humans who stood up to the ancients will, come in to do their part. Unfortunately, being ghosts, their attack will sometimes just pass through the thing. And yeah, that's very unfortunate. And if you get hit as a ghost, you have to hit the artifact again as Alex and then again as the ghost. That is really unfortunate.
Okay, what do we have for second phase? Okay, at least the max one is close. Thanks.
Nice. Yeah, Max and Roberto, who we haven't seen, but exists technically, are the slowest moving characters in the game, so they're very scary here, because Bias can very easily catch up to them and hit them. And lose you a lot of time.
Nice ball sound effect on Alex.
Alex has a bit of memory fall. Okay, Roberto is the last one. Come on, you can do it. You can do it, big boy.
Okay, we don't have the shotgun enchanted, but that's alright.
Oh no.
Yeah, no, it's fine. It's
is
fine.
that right? Okay, so this last part of the fight is a lot of animation cancels. We need to get rid of Bias before he gets his shield up. Will she be able to do it?
We're stuck. Where is Bias?
That actually happened to me once. That is, that's a huge troll if this happens in a run.
And he's casting a magical attack.
He is out for blood. He does not want this run to be a 27.
Alright.
But it is going to be. Very, very nice.
So time
And
is coming
will
up
come-
in a little bit. In 3, 2, 1, time.
That's the ticket.
Alright.
That's Eternal Darkness. Any percent no CS. Yeah, that was almost a 26. That's actually kind of crazy.
That's insane.
Crazy.
I can't believe this is 27.
And this was bronze
Like actually.
skin, and first try everything except the setup for GIM.
Yeah.
GIM was like third, I think.
GIS was like second or third try, but GIM was first.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, like I lost a lot of time on like smaller things. And like the fight and all that. If only it was the actual marathon run, yes.
I mean, in terms of the time,
It's
that was
fine.
pretty good.
Yeah.
I am glad we practiced because the commentary did need some. We did need this for the commentary.
Yeah, absolutely. No, and also like
GG's.
I get very nervous during this. That's why
Understandably.
I need to like remember,
As I gazed at
you know,
the
where to
ancient
save,
brought into
where to
this
actually
darkness
not
of
think
Pius.
about commentary.
My mistake was made clear.
Because that's what got me on some
Lead the
spots.
world to ruin just
Yeah,
as
yeah,
easily as Pius's would have. And
Okay,
yet,
so
as quickly as it began,
I don't know how you're feeling. I could do another one,
to think that
or we could do another
once
one
I could
tomorrow,
not see
or we could
beyond the
just
veil of
not do another
reality,
one. That's also
to
okay.
see
Up to
those
you.
who dwell behind.
Let's see.
I was once a fool.
You know what? We can do another one if you don't mind having a BRB.
No, not at all. I need one as well.
Okay.
So, like 5 minutes, 10 minutes, something like that.
Yeah. I'll put some music. And I'll call you back. Or actually, I'm just gonna mute you.
All right, that works.
Okay. Let's see. $138. Yeah, tomorrow I won't have time for another one, so that's why I want to do this one. Oh. All right, Chad. We're gonna do a BRB. I'm probably gonna put a couple songs to rest my hands and all that. I actually have the song. I got my disk driver, or rather my disk reader. So I have the what is it? Lost Media song from Billy Sheehan. We're gonna put it. BRB. I'm back. There is 2 songs from Billy Sheehan. The second one is Caroline. The first one is the bonus track from Compression, Where Away the Stone. You can't find that online. It's impossible. So you know. We're gonna run it back with Nono. Let's see. I need to unmute there, and I need to give Nono volume.
Hello.
There you go.
Okay.
So, let me know if you can see the game.
Yep.
Nice.
I can see. I'm not sure if I can hear.
Yeah, hang on. Because there's no sound currently. Can you hear it?
Yep.
Okay. Alright, so a couple things. I just want to say, this run, so it was at 27. Mm-hmm. This one, actually, so something that is important, this is for the chat. I'm wasting about a minute saving the game. Or like 40 seconds. So that actually makes sense, that this was at 26 something. You can taste the game, nice. So yeah, that's pretty good. Another thing, right now my hands are good, but if I see that my hands are kind of bad, I might want to stop in like the middle, if you don't mind it.
Would you prefer that we just did another one of these tomorrow? Would that be better for you?
The thing is, I cannot do it tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Then, yeah.
No, but it's still fine. I might, like, let's say on Lindsay, I'm gonna see how I'm doing. That's fine.
What would the game taste like? Because I love this game. I don't think it would taste good.
Yeah, probably. Probably not very good.
Yeah.
Like rotten flesh.
Yeah.
It's like how the tome would taste, basically. Asbestos, yeah.
Yeah.
Alright, let's run it back.
Yes.
So, welcome everyone. This is Eternal Darkness. I'm Pandora Jane. I'm gonna be your runner. And here is BigNoNo.
Hey, I'm BigNoNo. I'm not going to be a runner. I will
going
just
to help with the commentary. Yeah. So we're gonna start right here. In 3, 2, 1, go.
By the way, I guess, is this something you want to talk about choosing no there for the... Maybe we can talk about this later in the run.
Yeah, it's not that important. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, the game starts off with a bang with, this is our protagonist, Alex, and she's stuck in this room with a whole bunch of zombies, which, if you've played through the game casually, you may know what's going on here. There's nothing you can really do to make this run go any faster. This is essentially an auto-squaller. So, Pandora just likes to have fun here. You can sometimes do leg targeting here. You can do all sorts of tricks, but the point is that's like pure swag, that entire part. There's nothing you can do to really make it go faster. But yeah, Alex here is the granddaughter of Edward Roivas, the owner of this mansion, who was murdered. He was found decapitated in the mansion, and Alex was called in to identify the body and refuses to leave until she figures out what's going on here. And the first thing she's going to notice is that her grandfather had a secret room with a tome made of human skin and flesh, which is not something you typically see too much. But yeah, this is the Tome of Eternal Darkness. This is kind of the main storytelling device of the game. Each page of the tome contains a story of one human who came across the ancients, the sort of eldritch gods that are the focal point of this game's story. And this is the first among them. This is Pius. And Pius is going to go into these catacombs. He's a Roman general, by the way. He's going to go into these catacombs. He's going to find a couple of irregular things. The walls are kind of not in the best state they could have been. There's these weird cubes on the floor that you're going to see with these runes on them. Also, there's skeletons walking around, which is also something to take note of.
A lot of
By the way,
strange things happening.
A lot of strange things. You'll notice Pandora is picking up these cubes in a very specific position. That's a bit of speed tech. Normally, when you pick up an item, the camera will pan to show you the item, but if your character is in the trajectory of the camera, it'll actually snap into position and show you. So that saves a bit of time, saves the panning animation of the camera.
Yeah, and right here with the cubes that we just picked up, the game is giving us a little bit of foreshadow about something very important, which is the alignments in this game, which is related to different colors. So we see the red color it's tied to the red ancient Chaturga, and it's also tied to stats of our characters. So that's health. Blue is magic from Uyoth. This one right here, this is Celota, the green one. It's tied to sanity. So basically, there's a sanity stat that if it goes down, you're gonna start seeing strange things. And the last one, the purple one, that's a little bit of a secret, like a secret ancient, let's say, that the game has.
Also, right in this room, there's a tutorial for the game's targeting system. This game's combat is very good and very, very polished for what it is. And it allows you to target certain body parts. So that was the tutorial for that. No quick button this time.
Yeah. Let's see if we can get the portal. Oh, we got the portal.
Oh, nice. Right there, by using that attack animation, normally when you approach a portal, there will be an animation of your character walking slowly towards the center. By attacking at the right time, you can skip that. So that's a bit of a time save. Also in that room, Pandora mentioned the three ancients. These three artifacts represent the three ancients, and she picked the blue one. She picked Ulialth. And the reason for that is going to become clear later on, but it is the fastest. There's routes you can do for all three, but Ulialth is the fastest one.
Yeah, also, something that the chat noted is, why are we punching the doors? That's because every time you cross a door, you go to a room transition. On the next room, your character will do an animation of closing the door or, you know, leaving a ladder, things like that. And that means he's facing away from the rest of the room. We want to cancel that animation by doing an animation when we open the door. That's what we do.
Also an interesting cancel here. So Pandora's lined up this attack on the zombie so that when you interact with anything that causes text pop up, it pauses your character's animation. Pandora interacted with that puzzle in a way that once she solves it, it finishes the attack animation. So the animation of the zombie being defeated kind of gets merged into the animation of the puzzle being solved. So that's a nice little time save. I'm going to go ahead and say that that's probably the biggest trick in this chapter. This chapter is, even in the speedrun, played very straightforward. The big part here is what you're seeing right now is like the little sneaks that Pandora does. And that's for stamina management. So you can run in this game, you can walk. After running for a while, you'll run out of stamina and you'll have to wait to replenish it. Something that the game never tells you is you can, when you sneak like that, when you do the slow walk, it actually recovers your stamina twice as fast as standing still or walking. So that is very, very good for us. Also, take note of the puzzle here. It's the same type of puzzle that we did earlier on when we did the trick with the green zombie. Just kind of keep that in mind, because that's going to be important in a bit. And that is the first part of Elia. Right now, our sword is going to get broken, which, in the speedrun, it's kind of... this is a cause for a lot of difficulty, I think, because you basically don't have a good weapon from now on.
Yeah.
So if you get stuck in between enemies, that's a bit of an issue. You saw the way Pandora stopped there. Instead of just stopping, she did she aimed her weapon, and what that does is it stores her speed, what we call speed storage. Basically, once she starts moving again, she'll do it at the same speed as before stopping. So there's no, like, wait period for her to accelerate, essentially.
Yeah, another important thing you start noticing here is every time I see an enemy for the first time, there's gonna be this like green, let's see right there, that green light. That is the sanity damage that the enemy is doing to my character. So you can think of it as, you know, Elia is seeing things, unnatural things. So she starts going insane slowly.
Yeah, this... Sorry.
And eventually, when you get very low sanity, you will get what it's called the sanity effects, which is one of the main mechanics of this game.
Yeah, this game is heavily inspired by Lovecraft, and the idea is anytime you see these creatures, it takes a toll on your sanity. And sanity, one thing to keep in mind is you see the green sanity bar right now. Once sanity hits 0, all sanity damage will become health damage. And that's something you need to account for in this run.
Yeah, and naturally, if you run out of health, you will die.
Yeah, which is bad. That's a big time loss. But yeah, so sanity effects work in a very interesting way in this game. Basically, you have a counter that starts counting from 0 to 1 minute, and after it stops counting out, it will decide on a sanity effect to give you. Actually, I think it decides on the sanity effect beforehand, but regardless, once it hits that point, it'll give you a sanity effect either on the next room or sometimes during the room you're in. And that's going to be a problem because some sanity effects take a big toll on your time. And we're going to need a way to get around that. And that's something that we're going to talk more about, I guess, when we get to Kareem's chapter.
Yeah, around...
So in a couple of chapters from now.
Yeah, probably on Lindsay, actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is the end of Elia. Elia is a big difficulty spike, I would say, both casually and in the speedrun, because this you don't really have a lot of tools here. This is all just good movement and good menuing in terms of getting good time.
There is an interesting, like, a skill ceiling to Elia. It's one of those, like, it's... You don't do a whole lot of stuff, but you can actually lose a lot of time on those very small stamina managements and just getting caught by traps.
And right here, this is the puzzle that I was this is the same kind of puzzle that I was pointing out during Elia's chapter. So a big theme of Eternal Darkness is how humans can't stand up to the ancients on their own, but by sort of sharing their skills and their knowledge over the generations, they build themselves up to be able to stand up to them. And this is an example of that. We use the knowledge we get from reading Elia's chapter book to solve that puzzle, get the chapter page for Anthony, and so it'll go over the course of the game.
Yeah, during this chapter, we're gonna get access to magic spells, and those are also transferred, like that is knowledge transfer through chapters. Like Alex learns that from reading, and then later on other characters also get access to them once they get access to the tome. And the way they get access to a tome, we're gonna see it in a little bit here, is most of them encounter it in this weird pocket dimension that we're gonna see here. So they're destined.
I always call this place the Hall of Screams. For you can probably tell why. There's quite a lot of screaming involved. By the way, you can see a statue of Elia on the right. every character that's been lost to the darkness ends up as a statue in this hallway.
Yeah, and you can see half of Pius there. So something that happened on the first chapter after we chose the artifact is Pius became a servant of the evil, a servant of that ancient. It's basically a lich, and it's mainly the main antagonist of this game that we're fighting against.
Yeah, and the targeting tutorial we got, that was like symbolic of him going over to the eternal darkness, which is why the remnants of that are in that hole, because that's all that, you know, symbolically remains of his humanity. Now, this next room is interesting because you're going to see this zombie is kind of semi-translucent and it's got this rune inside of him. Magic in this game is made by composing 3 magic runes. And the way we get these runes is by defeating enemies that contain them, like that. Notice how slow that death animation is of getting the rune. Keep that in mind, because that will be interesting later. But collecting these runes is important just to build up our repertoire of magic. These guys right here, these are the weakest enemies in the game. They are called Mantarog zombies, or just skeletons if you want to be simplistic about it. And they go down real fast to fire, which is very unfortunate.
Okay, so what Nono just mentioned, there's another rune zombie here. And if I align correctly on this door, I can kill it and transition the room at the same time. And that saves the dead animation.
On that particular room, it doesn't save that much time.
Yeah, 0.3 seconds.
Yeah, but we'll see versions of that saves a lot of time later on. Speaking of big time saves, this is the first big skip of the run. Also the first skip discovered, as I'm told. And, ooh, that's okay, that's fine.
Yeah,
so
we
what
got the
you're
save.
going to do... Yeah, so by mixing the urn and getting hit by the zombie, this allows Pandora to open up the menu during this cutscene and then cast an enchant spell. Now, what an enchant does is when it finishes, it kind of pauses your movement and then it allows you to keep moving. And by doing that during the cutscene, it allows us to move when we're not supposed to and cross into that door without solving the puzzle in this room, which is a pretty long puzzle. That's like a minute saved, which is very, very nice. And this idea of casting spells when you're not supposed to, moving when you're not supposed to, that's going to be a big, big part of the speed tech in this game.
Yeah, you basically have to collect
Also,
all the runes. Yeah, I save a lot, don't worry. You have to collect all the runes, you have to break them and then repair them and then fill them with water to put it on a pedestal. There's a lot of stuff you gotta do with the runes, with the urns.
Basically, the whole puzzle is also to tutorialize you about the mixing mechanic in this game, which is kind of similar to mixing in Resident Evil if you've played those older Resident Evil games. Now right here, this is a very, very important part of the run. You'll see, if you look in the upper right corner, you'll see there's a prompt that shows the B button of the GameCube controller and says what it does in this scenario. We want to do what's called B prompt storage. We want to get that prompt and be able to store it for use later. So that is what Pandora is doing here.
There you go.
Sometimes it takes a few tries, but there you go.
Yeah, so right here we have what is called GIS, which stands for Get Item State. I'm like one step away from grabbing an item, in particular that scroll item right there, that we don't really need, but what we need is the ID. You can think of the location in memory of that item, and we need to preserve this Get Item State into the next chapter, into Alex, and make a save file there with the Get Item State to recover it later, way later, for a little skip we're gonna do.
Yeah, just a tiny one.
Yeah.
By the way, we did see those little creatures called trappers. We'll talk more about them at some other point because we're coming up on another instance of B prompt storage, and this one is a really cool skip when it works. Let's see if Pandora can get it.
Okay, that was close
We
to the
can see
soft
that
lock.
she's got the prompt. Oof. Okay, let's see. Ah, beautiful. So normally when you cross a certain boundary in this room, you are supposed to trigger a boss fight, but because Pandora had the B prompt stored there, she could basically hit B to get a text box to go up, and that negates the trigger for the boss. So she just used an attack to cross the barrier. Very nice skip. And that is the end of Anthony.
And let's save the game, everyone. Remember,
Yeah.
this game doesn't have autosave, so when you play this casually, you have to go here and save your game. That's the save file that has
another thing
GIS.
that gets a lot of people.
Yeah, actually, yeah.
But yeah, we've mentioned how kind of the knowledge of the humans facing up to the ancients evolves over the course of the game. It also translates to a kind of Metroidvania progression here, because you see that Pandora is trying to use the key and it breaks, and she uses the enchant spell that we got from Anthony to make it whole again. So that is another way in which the game kind of opens up as it goes on. And coming up here, one of my favorite parts of the game, and probably the hardest
Modern
one,
psychology
Kareem. This is a very, very combat-heavy part of the game. Kareem here, cool guy. He came down all this way because the woman he loves dreamed about an artifact, so he went to get it, which I'm sure is going to work out very well for everyone involved. Kareem gets into the Hall of Screams very, very early. You can see Anthony on the left there already.
Yeah, and we're gonna see a like combat heavy chapter right here. It's pretty hard, but it's also like one of the most satisfying chapters to get good at. You can really like the skill ceiling on this game is pretty high, and it's just very satisfying to get good at. Like there's so many tricks, and you see them right after another on this chapter is great.
Yeah. And I'll say this chapter has, I would say, a lot of hard tricks, but none of them are the hardest. Like they're like one tier below the hardest, so it's very satisfying, but also accessible for, not top runners, essentially.
Yeah, and also apart from one crash, all of them you don't lose a lot of time if you fail them. So. Alright, there are the trappers. So these little friends right here, they can't kill you, but they can kill your run if they get you. So if they hear you, because they're blind, they will explode. And the explosion, if it catches you, it will send you to the trapper dimension, which is you're losing basically 15 to 30 seconds, depending on your luck.
Casually, they're even kind of helpful, because in the Trapper dimension you can replenish health and such, but yeah, in a run it's no good. Now right here, this is a very useful, I would say, version of what we saw earlier of Pandora skipping the death animation for one of these rune enemies. Also, you'll see her do an equip and unequip here, which skips the stagger animation from getting hit by that electricity attack. Okay, beautiful. There is a risk here, which if you get a sanity effect that reloads the rune, then it will cause a crash, but that only happens if you're slow and Pandora's fast. Oh my god. What's with these trappers today? Man.
They're being so mean. Like there I was ready, because that was very bad trapper and I sensed it. You get good at identify when trappers will be treacherous, and that was a tricky one. I was ready to like pause the game and watch a cutscene, which is one of the methods. It's a backup to make the explosion disappear.
So there are certain kind of cutscenes that essentially skip certain triggers. You're gonna see that Pandora has defeated all those skeletons, and now she's watching this cutscene. What this does is, once you get back into the room, it despawns all the defeated enemies. So we can immediately go into the second wave of enemies, and we're going to do this on this wave as well.
And now for the strongest weapon in the game.
Yeah, now it's ram down time. This weapon rules. But yeah, notice these zombies, the way they sing. As far as the game is concerned, once a blue zombie sings, then it's dead. And that's going to be very important. It's also what allows us to save a lot of time on the early alpha route.
Right there, I use a trick to move during that cutscene. I was actually moving out of camera and killing some of those zombies. And the way we do that is you can cast what is called a no magic message. 1, 2. So every time you do a spell, but you don't have enough magic, the game will pop a message and will tell you you don't have enough magic. You have to get more magic. And you can leave that message on the screen. And if you leave it when you get into a cutscene, you can dismiss the message to activate pause. And if you pause on pause, you get movement during the cutscene. It's one of the many tools we have for different tricks in this game.
Yeah, there's that little bit, that wave fight, there's so much going on. There's also like a cutscene merge that's going on there that we didn't even have time to talk about. A lot of stuff going on in the background of that. Also, this part coming up is very scary, so yeah, I was going to say good time to save. So what's going to happen in the next room is there's going to be another wave fight. There will be a magic barrier that gets put up, and what you're supposed to do is wait for enemies to come past it towards you and fight them that way. But with the trick here, Pandora is going to be able to get right back before the barrier goes up and just fight all these guys behind the barrier, which is very dangerous because you're in this very small confined space with all these enemies. It can be very, very bad, but I believe Pandora will be fine. I can tell by your face that did not go exactly according to plan.
It's not just very dangerous, sometimes it's very laggy.
Oh,
So
yeah.
So what we got there is the barrier fight lag. It's kind of a, it's not really a 50-50, maybe like a, I don't know, 25% or 1 out of 6. It's hard to say a probability, but it can happen sometimes where you just get a ton of lag during this fight. Ooh, okay, I'm actually gonna free gas this.
Yeah, and you'll notice that this is why this is so dangerous. These blue zombies, they're fast to fight, but their explosion is actually pretty scary. If it's very close to you, it does a lot of damage. That's why she's healing a lot.
Okay.
Oh,
okay,
no,
time to
This is where this
add in
goes
cancel.
bad. So usually you can one-shot that horror by just hitting it at the right time. Okay.
That should work.
Okay. Whew. Yeah, that
Please
got a
don't
bit
get
out
me.
of hand,
Okay.
but she's fine. Never punished. Cool.
Yeah, so that was a rough one. It shows you how things can go wrong here. Now the saves were pretty good, and that's also another cool thing about this game. We actually have so many tools for glitches and tricks that there are a lot of ways to save your run, which otherwise you would just, you know, get like stun locked by enemies because everyone is summoned right next to you. So a very unfair fight normally.
Where, yeah, like in this run, if you really know your stuff and you're very practiced, you can get out of a lot of situations. There's very few things that can just, you know, just straight up kill your run and you'd have nothing to do about them. Also, continuing on the theme from before, we used the Enchanted Gladius to open the door, just like Kareem did with the Ramdell. And now we go into Max, a chapter that they're actually reusing assets here. Flag on the play. They're actually this part actually takes place in Dimension, which I actually thought was really cool when I played this game originally. That suddenly Dimension is, you know, one of the chapters.
Yeah, I think this is a very smart way to reuse assets. I don't mind it.
Yeah.
I think this is like, it's just so cool seeing the match in a different era. with like different technology and all that.
Asset reuse is kind of one of these things that's gotten a bad rap, but honestly, if it's done well, it really enhances just your attachment to the areas in the game, I think.
Yeah, and we actually see
anyway.
it on every area. There is like 4 main areas, and we come back to them in different periods of time with different characters. And it's really cool to see the subtle differences on the rooms you are already familiar with. And
Yeah,
we
we're actually
also,
going to
different
start-
difficulty and different tools, let's say.
Yeah, and we're actually going to start seeing that starting with the next chapter. But right here, there's another rune skip. I guess, yeah. To set this up, the movement needs to be very, very precise on the way down here. Didn't get it. It's fine. It's not a huge time loss.
Yeah, also, the core just decided to dodge my bullets somehow.
I always
Okay.
say speedruns are constantly evolving, and the games are evolving with them. The games find new ways to lose you time.
They adapt. Okay, so
Yep.
I'm actually gonna grab an extra set of bullets here. Because I wasted 2. I know I can waste 1. You actually taught me that. But 2, no. That's too much.
Yeah. But yeah, so one thing I guess we haven't really mentioned so much is free casting. This is probably a good time to do it. So the way spells work in this game, when you're in the process of casting a spell, you can't move or get hit by an enemy, or the spell will get cancelled. However, in a speedrun, if you start casting a spell, and then you try to cast an enchant, but you cancel out of it. You cancel out the dialogue that asks you which item to enchant. It sort of severs your connection to that first spell, and you can suddenly move while it finishes. And we saw that being used right here, when Pandora cast multiple spells on the way down. And you can kind of transfer the free cast property between consecutive spells that you're casting, which is something we call multicast, which is going to happen right down here. And this ability to move while casting a spell is very, very powerful, and is the basis for a lot of the biggest tricks in this run. We'll see a big one in a couple of chapters. But yeah, right there, moving down as the reveal invisible spell gets cast.
Yeah, it makes the run very entertaining to both watch and play as well. Like, right there, I reload my weapon, and I casted 2 spells roughly at the same time. All of it while moving. And, like, opening the letter that we need for the key and all that. It really just speeds up and makes, like, gives you a lot of flexibility during the run.
Yeah, and the nice thing about it is that a lot of it is good menuing. And to me, good menus are a big part of what makes a game a good speed game. And the menuing in this game is just really, really fun to pull off. This game has really good menus. Good movement too. It does not have tank controls, contrary to what a lot of people seem to think.
That's a myth. I don't know who started that myth, but it's for some reason it exists. We have camera controls, like 3D controls from the camera, and that's gonna be important later.
Yeah, you do not use herbs to heal in this game. You don't play as Leon Kennedy. This is not, well, we can talk about the kind of horror game this is a bit, but the important thing right now is this guy, the Guardian. These guys are pretty strong, but this is sort of a mini boss, I guess. This is the big RNG part of this chapter, I guess, which is at some point this guy will teleport, and the question is where and how long it'll take. That was almost instantaneous. I don't think you.
That was so good.
That was really good. Yeah.
That was so good. Like, that's gonna make up for the time of the horror skip. I would love to see that on my runs, but that's so good. Yeah, sometimes that Guardian teleports very far away and it takes forever, and it's completely random.
Yeah, sometimes it'll teleport to some random nook off in the corner, and you'll just have to spend forever going after it. when you don't go for the really difficult horror rune skip thing, that's like your big potential time loss in max. But yeah, coming up here, we're actually going to go into one of the more difficult parts of the run, and this also has numerous skips that can go very, very wrong, that are very difficult to pull off. So let's see if Pandora manages to get this. This is Lindsay.
Influence was incredible.
And you'll see almost immediately Pandora is going to pick up a bronze bracelet here. She's going to go off to the side because you can't use the brush right here to like get the item, but then he's too close. So along with this bronze bracelet that you're going to see Pandora use on the statue, you're also supposed to pick up a bronze necklace off in another room. However, we can actually skip doing all of that, but the execution for it is very, very precise.
Yeah. Hopefully I don't want to use the necklace, but it depends on a very hard trick. Because this game has clips. Just your famous clip, like out of bounds or through collision on speedruns. This game has it.
This is basically a Doom speedrun. You've got demons, you've got clips, you've got guns. But yeah, this Black Guardian enemy, Gatekeeper, it summons in enemies, and specifically its first summon here is a zombie. And what Pandora is going to try to do, she's going to use a barrier spell here, and kind of tries to sandwich this zombie between her and the barrier to try and clip through the wall. Did she get it? No.
Yeah,
that's unfortunate. That's a big time loss now, and we're just going to have to go and do the casual thing of just getting the bronze necklace directly.
We'll try to not do it that casual. We're still gonna do a little bit of tricks, but yeah, that's a big trick. It's your what I like to call the first skill check on like a top level run for this game. It's usually where you would reset sometimes. It's really hard. It's a little random because it's not really random, but it's, you know, those tricks that are so precise that you say is random for humans. That kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's like chaos theory. It's so specific that it kind of, small differences can cause big differences, etc. Oh yeah, I forgot about this. Move in bronze. So Pandora is going to do a bit of a trick here to allow her to move during the animation of the door opening. So yeah,
saves
not
a little
fully
bit of time.
casual. Yeah.
It's the consolation prize.
Yes, exactly. Now, I wonder if this time the Uliath zombies will actually... Nope. Okay, that wasn't too bad.
Okay, I'm actually gonna wait for them to sing. There you go. I'm gonna watch a cutscene because I forgot to save. And I can't save with enemies, so I'll save here. Yeah, so on bronze skip, if you failed it, you lose a lot of time, but you don't lose the run. I mean, you can continue, but if I fail the next one, which is easier, it's over. Like, I'm out of bounds, falling into oblivion, and there's no way back. So, just in case.
Also, if you do get bronze skip, and then you fail this, it also soft locks, because you can't get the item you need to finish this.
Okay.
Nice.
So again, a much easier trick, but the price of failing just much higher.
Yeah, it also saves a lot more time, correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, like 40 seconds, while bronze is like 30.
Okay, we're coming up on another very precise trick, although this one can go wrong, so let's see if Pandora gets it. But the background I'll provide for this is anytime... Yeah, I hate those X's. Anytime you see a cutscene, you always have the playable character on screen somewhere. They might be off to the side or invisible and unable to move, but they're there. And if you can get your character a way to move during the cutscene, you can actually break the sequence and teleport to where the cutscene takes place. So right here, dispelling that rune will teleport you into this screen. And now Pandora should be able to move here, although...
Not really.
That didn't work.
We failed it again.
What happened there?
Do I need to watch a cutscene? Hang on. Oh, I might need to watch a cutscene. Yeah, this is the bad way of failing this. Because I need to recover this BPROM. Does this thing not exist? Oh, it might not exist. Okay, we're just gonna load. That's alright.
Just gonna load.
Yeah.
We get a second try.
Yeah. So what happens there is if I fail that in that way, that I think erases the BPROM of the item, and we actually need that item to progress. Because we can skip bronze, we can skip silver, but we cannot skip gold yet. Okay.
Okay, easy every time.
There also you can see one of the reasons why we choose Uyoth. When they sink, they count as dead. So just make them sink will give you the rune immediately. You don't need to finish them off.
Okay, going again.
Okay, no damage this time at least.
But yeah, the idea here is to kind of give yourself movement after there's a spell, so the thresholds of magic you need to be in are very precise. Nice.
Alright.
And now we're floating gun. Every gamer's... So, what happens here is during that cutscene, Lindsay is just invisible and the game blocks you from moving. But by doing all the tricks Pandora did earlier, she's able to move during the cutscene, but the game never operates the flag that makes Lindsay visible again. We are going to become visible in a bit, but for now we're just a floating knife, I suppose.
Yeah. Yeah, right here, there is a flag to make him visible again. So after this cutscene, we're gonna be visible. And this is the item I needed to get. And I kinda just erased its BPROM before.
Yeah, that is the gold necklace. That is... I was going to say that's the first necklace you got this run, but that's not true.
Alright, so incoming, this game, so you already know, we have sanity effects. That depends on the amount of sanity we have. You're starting to see sanity effects below 75. You can get some very mild stuff. Below 50%, you get some more nasty stuff, and the nastiest is below 25%. As you can see, we are very low right now. Some sanity effects can waste, up to 30 seconds, which is a lot of time for a speedrun. We want to skip them. So, NoNo, can you tell me a little bit about how we skip them?
Yes, so we've mentioned how sanity effects work with the timer that counts out to when you need to get your next sanity effect. One of the sanity effects that you can only see once during a run is called explosion. And the way it works is basically once you try to heal, the game, if you have the flag for the explosion active, the game will do as if you're casting the spell, but when the spell finishes, it will actually... You explode, your head will explode, and then the room will reload, and you can try to heal again. And then you can't get explosion again. However, the thing is, once you try to heal, if you have the explosion flag active, the game basically said, okay, the player is going to get an explosion, so we need to reset the timer. And that way, even if you cancel out of the heal, then the game considers you as having gotten a sanity effect. So in that way, by basically canceling out of heals constantly, you can make it so you just don't get sanity effects, which is very, very nice. It's a very good manip. Sadly, we used to be able to hold on to that almost until the end of the run. That is no longer the case. We are going to lose that pretty early on, relatively speaking. But for now, we have that as a tool.
Yeah, and right there, the last, I did a no magic message, and I did it specifically with recovery. And what that does is it prolongs the explosion effect for like 3 minutes. So I have 3 minutes without sanity effects, at least until the next cutscene. So right at the end here, we're gonna finish Lindsay. And after Lindsay, normally you would do Paul, but we're gonna do a little bit of a detour during Alex to skip a later chapter, which is Edward. It's chapter number 10, usually. Lindsay right here is number 6. It's a very, very big trick that is actually not that hard to do, and that saves about 20 minutes. It's incredible. It's one of the, probably the biggest time save we have right now.
Yeah, that's what originally got the run sub 2 hours, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, but so we talked about FreeCast. So Pandora is actually going to go up to the second floor and do a FreeCast right now. So the way this is going to happen is pretty interesting, because to get Paul's chapter page, we need to cast a Dispel. So right here, we cast a Dispel, and you'll see that she's going into the menu, doing an enchant, canceling out of it. Now she can move during the spell, and what this does is it makes it so the cutscene of the Dispel, destroying the barrier there, coincides with this cutscene of Max about to go into the room. Normally you watch Max go into the room and the barrier closes up behind him, but because he can't go in, the barrier isn't up, and for some reason the game decides to show you the cutscene of Alex using the pickaxe to get into the room, which I guess is some kind of fallback. Anyway, by doing that, we can get into the room, we can get the chapter page that we would normally have to do Edward's chapter to get. Sorry, not the chapter page, the item. And yeah, that's Edward's skip. That is a very, very easy 20-minute skip.
Yeah, it's one of those, almost anyone can do it. Maybe not that particular setup. We used to have another setup with a zombie, which is much easier. And I remember Givger, another runner at some point, like to tell people, like casual people on Twitch, just how to do it, just for fun. And they would just do it easily.
Yeah, it's very, very simple. There's a lot of... This is a very technical run with a lot of very difficult tricks. That one, I believe anyone can do with, like, maybe half an hour of practice.
You also can see all those flashes. Every time we get the tome, that's the moment where the character gets, like, all the memories and all the knowledge of all the other characters you read.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, this is Paul. This is our first revisit, I guess, to the cathedral that we were in with Anthony. We are tragically going to see Anthony pretty soon. This is a pretty cool trick. This is called Move-In Custodian cutscene. And what Pandora is going to do is she's going to summon a trapper and in the same breath use this meditation rod. And now she's able to move during the cutscene of the custodian coming up here, which saves a little bit of time. The important part of this, though, is that we actually summon a trapper, because the first time you summon a trapper, you get this tutorial prompt that we want to get rid of. So it's a good way to get it out of the way. A side effect of the skip is that your camera gets a bit weird. Luckily, we do. If you know how to move precisely, you can get to the exit without too much of an issue.
Yeah, it can get very dangerous. We have some very specific angles we do during that. There's 2 angles you have to do for a certain amount of time. If you get lost, first of all, you can get stuck pretty much forever because you don't know exactly where you are. Or another thing is you go back up, like upstairs, and the trapper gets you. Either way, you're losing a lot of time if you fail it.
This is part of the run that has a lot of walking around, so this might be a good time to explain a bit about this game's categories, because This category is not any percent. This is any percent no CS. And CS stands for cutscene storage. It's a trick where you can watch cutscene, and if you skip it on a very specific frame, you get a big skip forward to the point where you can get a credit warp. You can get to the end of the game in just under 7 minutes, which, you know, is interesting in its own way, but it doesn't make for the best kind of speedrun. So this category is the main category of the game that just bans that trick, and that is any percent no CS. There's also a hundo category, which requires you to carry a lot more items. You get to see a lot more of the game. You don't skip the 2 chapters that we skip in any percent no CS. And also maybe a word about the versions of the game that are optimal to run, because Pandora, even though the text is in English, is actually running on the Japanese version of the game. And this is actually kind of a recent discovery. So the Japanese version of the game, it's been known that in certain aspects it's faster for a while, because it's actually a later version of the game. The NA version of this game came first. And for that reason, it's better optimized and has a bunch of faster loads. Also, I should probably pause here because Pandora
we have to talk about how this guy is gonna have the most unfair fight ever.
Yeah, continues. This is Anthony. Continues to have 0 luck in life because as she entered, Pandora did a trick with trappers to skip the cutscene at the start of this. That triggers Anthony's movement for the first phase, so he just wasn't able to do anything. And for his second phase, she just finished him off before he could even get up. So that's Anthony. Rip. Never really got to do much. You do have to be careful on the way out of here because the cutscene prompt is still there, and if you hit it, it's actually soft locks. Sorry, the cutscene trigger. So yeah, you need to be a bit careful about how you exit that room.
Yeah, so we knew that Japanese is basically an optimized version. The glitches, there is actually some patches for like hard locks and things like that, and a couple tricks. But in general, the main tricks we use for the run are not patched. So everything is very good. Like actually, one of the biggest things that is patched, and it's not actually patched, it's just a consequence of the game being faster, is that you cannot do credits warp. Credits warp only works on NA because it loads slower. It's a very funny thing. So we knew that, but on top of that, there is the language part. And the thing is, in general, Japanese used to lose time on language, even though, you know, you usually write less stuff in Japanese. The formatting of the text was too big, and so a lot of the messages were longer. But thanks to a commenter on YouTube, we basically discovered that we can put English text on the Japanese version. And so we have the both words now, and Japanese is the fastest version.
So what we're doing through all this part, basically the custodian that we saw earlier gets an inkling that it's kind of funny to say this as you're surrounded by zombies. He suspects that something wrong is going on with this church, which yeah, you can kind of believe seeing all this. So what we're doing is going around. We're picking up all these essentially data logs where this one guy kind of chronicles the things he's found out about the church, and this is all evidence that the custodian needs to kind of to go against the leadership of the church, I suppose. So now we're going to run all the way back to the start where we met the custodian originally.
Yeah, unfortunately this chapter has a lot of backtracking. There is actually a trick that allows you to save some of that, but it's like, it's really hard. It's also random. Like you get like a 30% of success chance. So we're definitely not doing it here. But yeah, we're also killing some enemies in the way back to save stamina. And right now we're gonna do a pull for the next part. So pull is one of the most important spells in this game. It's a slow recovery. It gives you one of the stat related to every second. So this right here is health. But there is a little thing that the game doesn't tell you, and that is the pull also, the health one, the Chaturga one, also gives you stamina. And so you can basically run forever. This is actually, if you want to play this game casually, this is like so useful. It's just so cool to know this.
Yeah, it's funny. Anytime you heal, it also really, like Pandora says, it fully replenishes your stamina, and it's just funny how little the game tells you about its own stamina system. So yeah, the pool spells in general are very important. We'll see ones pertaining to all 3 alignments in this run. Later on, you can get the Mentrock pool, which replenishes all your stats, which is the most expensive spell in the game, but is also very cool.
Yeah, that one, you only see it on 100% for the fans. So right here, I did some manipulations. I did no magic message there. That's so I don't see a sanity effect for the next part. Because if I get unlucky and I get a sanity effect during a trick that I'm gonna do, I can get, not soft lock, but the trick can fail. We really don't want that. We also got the pool again, just to run around. The pool here is not just to run, but also, you can see the health bar of Paul is not that great. Different characters have different stats, and my friend Paul right here doesn't have a lot of health, and we really want his health to be at maximum most of the time. So here comes the next skill check. I'm gonna save before this, just in case.
I was gonna say, this is a tough one. This has killed many runs, but it's really cool as well. So what's gonna happen here is Pandora is going to line up in a certain way and summon a trapper. And the interesting thing, let's see if she gets this. So as you can see, you can move after summoning a trapper, and it kind of, for a short period after the summon, your hitbox kind of doesn't exist. So you can just get past that barrier thanks to the trapper. It's really cool.
You are a clever man.
And the thing is, that barrier is the only reason why you really need 5-point spells. Oh, that is very bad. That's also bad for the skip back. This.
Okay.
We're watching, we're observing. I suppose we don't want to fully just load at this point.
Like, it might be about the same time, but I kind of don't want to do the first part again.
Yeah, that's understandable.
Okay, we need to leave one of them alive. And I also want to know where the trapper is. Okay,
So
it should
for
be
the
on a
actual run,
good
do you
spot.
want I'm just gonna let you
He's
focus on this.
tired. Let's get stamina. This might be about enough magic, I think. Oh, but I'm tired. That's bad. Oh boy. I'm just gonna load. Whatever.
Yeah.
It's alright.
On the actual run, do you want to save
After
the
it, I
first
can't.
skip?
Because there's a trapper.
Oh, right. So that's unfortunate, but yeah, this skip has a lot of moving parts to it. Honestly, dealing with those 2 trappers, that got me a lot of time. Even though that's generally the easiest part of the skip, it's kind of, it can go wrong a lot of the time.
Yeah, no, the bone thieves can be nasty. Absolutely.
They're bad boys.
Okay, I actually can kill the trapper. I think it's a good idea to load twice. To save twice. For the marathon.
Yeah.
Just in case.
You are a clever man.
the nasty part of being on the Uliouth route.
Oh my god, this is dissing me.
Yeah,
Good thing I saved.
that's unfortunate. I was gonna say this is the bad part of the Uliouth route. When you get hit by Uliouth aligned enemies, you take magic damage, which is really bad because this trick requires very, very specific thresholds for your magic. Because you need to be able to summon the Trapper and get a no magic message. So you can't have too little magic, you can't have too much.
Okay, this should work.
Okay, nice.
Now if I hold my good direction here, I should be running through the barrier right now. There you go. Yeah, so the reason why the second part is allegedly easier, as you saw, it's because you run forever during the Trapper. Paul just keeps running, and that's because there were already enemies in the room. So you have something called the battle state. And as long as you don't change your state, you will keep running forever. But for the first part, you just summon a Trapper. So you go from idle state to battle state. And when you change your state, you stop running. So you have very, very tiny window of running through the barrier on the first part.
But okay, that was Paul. And
now we're gonna go for a very hard one.
Save during the restore. Yeah, this is a huge skip. This skips the entire next chapter. And basically this is where we use the get item state that we set up during Anthony. And I'm just gonna let Pandora do this.
Too fast. We're gonna see a flying thingy during that cutscene. And if we're lucky, we're gonna get a glitch gun. Let's see. A consolation prize. Yep. Look at that. Look at my gun. Have you seen this gun in your dreams? Let's try it again.
In my nightmares, yeah.
Yeah, so I have 14 frames to work with right here. It's very tricky because it's not just 14 frames immediately, it's after 2.5 seconds. Okay, that should work.
Okay, nice. And that's the explosion sanity effect we mentioned before. That kind of gets us. That's a big part of this.
Okay, now we want to get a BPROM storage here. There you go. I need to advance the BPROM one state. There you go. So we get this detail. And that means I'm like one BPROM away from getting an item. But I don't have a get item state right now. So I'm gonna save the game. We're gonna load. Remember when we did this save during Anthony in a different save file? That's because this is completely part of the run. This is not a safety save. We need this. We're gonna watch a cutscene here to put the restore point into this room. And this way, the next frame we get into the piano cutscene that we just store. We're gonna trigger a restore point, hopefully getting an item at the same time. And this part is frame perfect. Okay, I'm doing it too fast. Gotta slow down. And what this is gonna do is, remember, we were one BPROM away. Ooh, it's like, I think I need to do a slower one than usually. The slower one. Okay. Ooh, okay. No item.
Oof.
Time to use the backup save. I wonder when I lost that.
Interesting.
Yeah, okay, so this is something that can happen, and this is why we have a backup save. So during Anthony,
That happened during Anthony, right?
yeah, that probably happened during Anthony. So during Anthony, I probably overstepped into one of the B prompts, which gets rid of my get item state. So it won't give me any item here, and I have a backup save for that for marathons, so I actually get the item I need. There you go. And this item we got is Peter's page. So Peter is chapter 9. So we got Paul. Paul is chapter 7. After that we get Roberto, which is the one you get on the piano. And Peter is chapter 9. So we just skip Roberto by doing all those shenanigans.
Yeah, because Peter's page is in the tome room, but you need an ability from Roberto's chapter to actually access it. But okay, this is Peter. Peter is a journalist who is in France during World War I. And once again in this cathedral that we've just been to. And he is going to see that something is afoot.
A lot of weird stuff happening in the cathedral.
Yep. So here we go once again into the Hall of Screams. You can see it is very, very crowded at this point because we are in the late game.
Here I'm gonna summon a trapper right before this next room. There's a cutscene here. The bone thief getting into the nurse right there. You can move during that cutscene if you summon a trapper while entering the room. We're gonna be doing that a lot. Okay, I got extra damage. So this could get nasty. We'll see. Hopefully not.
Yeah, this chapter isn't usually very difficult, but you can get very unlucky here with your sanity and that.
Okay. At least that's not a bad one.
So it's one of those runs. Right here, Pandora is going to save. This is another save that's not for safety. This is actually part of the route. We need a certain memory. We're going to set up a certain memory manipulation here, and that save is going to be part of it. Right here is where we get this 7-point circle of power. So much earlier, we got the 3-point circle of power with Anthony, which is what allowed us to cast spells in the first place. 7 power spells are basically the same spells, but much more powerful. You also can get a 5-point circle at some point. We were supposed to get it with Paul, but we skipped that. That was the whole thing we did with the barrier and the trappers. And right here, you're going to see Pandora make a bunch of spells. And this is where a lot of really precise menuing comes in. I really love we mentioned this. I really love the menus in this game. I find that developing, fast menuing skills in this game is very satisfying. But yeah, this is just a bunch of assignments because a lot of these spells are going to be used heavily in the next few chapters. And you also saw Pandora pick up an item there, some ammo. This is ammo that we're not actually going to use. However, like I said, there's a memory manipulation we're going to use, and every time you pick up an item, every time you kill an enemy, it does something to memory positions, and that's all going to be very important coming up.
Right here, I'm going to merge 2 cutscenes. So I'm gonna do a free cast here. And then complete this puzzle. And so there is the organ cutscene right here that opens a cabinet on the other side of the hall. And on the other hand, there is a cutscene for revealing an invisible door. We're merging both. And when you get 2 cutscenes going at the same time, if one of them ends before the other, you will get movement. so I can move earlier
Yeah,
there.
we actually saw this earlier in Edward's skip, where we did the spell cutscene at the same time as the Max Ghost cutscene. Same idea. Also, Pandora's moving kind of carefully here. This is part of losing a lot of sanity earlier. You kind of have to account for that when moving in that room.
Yeah, okay, so
we are...
let's talk a little
Sorry,
bit
go ahead.
about the context, because there's something we kind of didn't see on Paul, like at the end of Paul. What happened at the end of Paul?
Well, it's really funny because during Paul's chapter, the game sets up that Pius is summoning this creature called the Black Guardian to guard the cathedral, and you think, oh, okay, we'll get to the end of Paul's chapter and we'll have a boss fight. But Paul goes into that room and immediately gets squashed. So it's kind of funny. It's very anticlimactic, and we're going to have a very, very difficult, almost the opposite experience with Peter, which is what we're actually setting up here.
Yeah,
So
so
that's the reason
as a
why
casual
we're-
player, you would see that, and you know something big's coming, right? Like, you already saw the insta-kill on poor Paul. You know a big fight is coming right here.
By the way, this is also part of why we have zombies save time. We can just kill them and just leave the room immediately as they're singing before they explode.
And we
But
finally
okay, so
have all
remember
the
to
pieces
save-
of the puzzle.
Yeah. So now we're going to load the save from earlier. Now, something to know about summoning monsters in this game. Every time you summon them, if you can't summon more than one monster at a time. When you summon a second one, the one you summoned before dies. So what if you made the game think that, for example, this Black Guardian is something you summoned? Well, Pandora is going to load into this fight, and she's going to summon a trapper, and just watch what happens.
The game gets
Goodbye.
confused.
Yep.
I mean,
And
it's
that
a
was
it's a
the
giant
purpose-
trapper. He has 3 legs and all that.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's a very
It
long
does-
fight. Casually, actually, this is probably the hardest fight in the game. I would say people struggle more with this fight than even the end boss. And it takes a lot of time. It has a lot of phases and all that. We just insta-kill it.
The Black Guardians, because each alignment has its own. The fight is pretty similar, but the designs are very distinct. But all 3 of them look like they would be high-level Zerg units.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's like when I first started watching runs of this game. That was one of the ones that really blew my mind. Wow.
No. Twice
Twice.
today. What?
Twice in a row.
It's the same one.
Look, the meaning of this has to be that you're very, very consistent.
There's like 20 sanity effects.
Yep. Well, that was something. But yeah, so again, we all the stuff we did allowed us to skip Edward's chapter. Normally, you would come down here and use Peter's penny before you would be, and then you would go upstairs. You would get the I don't remember how you call the thing that you used to listen to the safe.
The stethoscope.
Stethoscope, thank you. And that allows you to get in here, but because of the skip we did, we don't need to do anything extra. We got the stethoscope earlier. We do have to use the penny here because the game later checks your inventory. And if you have stuff in your inventory then that you're not supposed to have, then it goes and just crashes immediately.
Yeah, so we're getting extra items here. If you grab ammo, the game always puts the ammo on the same slot. But by grabbing the ammo after summoning a trapper, or during summoning a trapper, we can get ammo in 2 different slots. and so we're like moving some unintended items to the bottom of the inventory,
Yeah,
so
'cause
they
if,
don't
if
show
you
up.
Scroll down, if you scroll down to where the items show up, then the game crashes, right? So this is all
Yep.
to avoid that. Yeah. But yeah, this is Michael. This is our penultimate chapter. Michael is very cool. He's got tons of stamina, tons of health, pretty good sanity. Not great magic, which is going to be a problem later on. Also, if you're playing casually, Michael has a lot of really cool guns you can pick up. We don't because it's faster to just, not engage in combat that much, but casually in general, the guns in this game are really cool. People don't really use them too much. I don't know if it's because the melee combat is really good or just they don't want to waste ammo. But yeah, I would definitely use the guns because they're really good.
Yeah, I think there is a little bit of like survival horror brain on a lot of people that play this game. But this game is actually very generous with ammo. It's just that a lot of people are used to, Resident Evil Silent Hill, where you had to be very conscious of where you use your resources. In fact, for this last one, they just give you so many bullets. It's so much. Like, they actually wanted you to go ham with the rifle.
Yeah, this is it should be said, this is definitely a horror game. This is not a survival horror game. But yeah, right here with Michael, immediately Pandora is going to do a multi-cast. She's going to cast a magic pool. So a magic pool might seem like a bit of a weird spell to use. There's actually a really nice troll in this game where you can make a blue recovery. And what it does is it gives you back the same amount of magic you used to cast the spell. It's a really cute troll. But the magic pool is legitimately useful because, you use magic to cast it. But over time, it gives you more magic than you would use initially.
What's that on your screen,
Michael...
chat?
Oh, no.
I think you have something in your screen. Yeah, go ahead.
Ooh, that was kind of nasty. That setup of the trappers. Anyway, yeah, Michael has very low magic, so we need to do a bunch of stuff to get around that. So right here, there's going to be a sanity effect. During the sanity effect, Pandora is going to cast a pool. And what that does is you get the effect of the pool, but you get your magic back. So it's a really, really nice way to save some magic there. Now, back in an earlier route before Birdo's skip, we had a trick to reliably get past this pretty quickly. But yeah, here the game forces you to just use a spell called Bind, which gets enemies to fight each other, and we are just going to have to wait and see how long this takes. So we started like 1:14:20.
14.
14, okay.
That's 20 seconds.
20. So now.
Okay, this is above average.
Oh,
okay, that's 30. So this is on bad territory.
This is real bad.
So something that happens on 30 is bind expires. So then one of the horrors cannot keep attacking. So when you get over 30,
wow.
It's actually very easy to get like over 50. Because only one horror keeps attacking.
How do you call that? Is that technically positive feedback?
Sort of, yeah.
Yeah, there's a better word for it. I can't think about it.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, that was really bad. That was like
slippery. How's it called? That thing.
Slippery slope.
Yeah, yeah, a little bit of that.
Yeah.
Okay, another multicasting coming here after some assignments. So I'm gonna assign my last pool here. We're gonna use all the colors on the pools. Recast this. I'm gonna walk during this because I need to recover some magic. And then I'm gonna do 7 enchant to make the explosive really strong. I can actually move during that pause there, but I missed it. And
yeah, it's a very precise timing.
Yeah, and no, why are we gonna? Why do we need this Celta pool right here?
So yeah, this is something that we alluded to earlier. When your sanity hits 0, the sanity effect you get from seeing enemies, or rather from enemies seeing you, becomes health damage. But the way this works, and this is kind of a familiar mechanic from a lot of games, it only passes over when your sanity is 0. Like if you have 1 sanity and you take 10 sanity damage, you still will not take health damage. So by having a sanity pool, we make it so there's always that little bit of a buffer on our sanity to prevent sanity damage from becoming health damage. So this works in a way that would not be good. Like if you tried casting a health pool here, a red pool, it would not give you the same effect. You would probably die, or at the very least start limping from being low health. So yeah, like Pandora said, we use all the pools. Is that the only spell where you see all the alignments for it in the run? Probably shouldn't ask that during the run.
No, it's a good question. Don't worry, it's not a marathon. Maybe this spell, we see this spell just because of hallway skip. So this spell is all 3.
But do you see all alignments of
Yeah,
it?
all 3.
You only see 2, right?
So you get Celota on error skip. Right after it, Chaturga, and for the skip you get Wheel. It's very specific to the run. Yeah.
For a Birdo skip. Yeah.
What do we do here? Yeah. There you go.
But okay, this is the last part of the run. This is Alex, and she gets her own chapter, one of the longer chapters in the run. And what we're about to see is, remember when he did hallway skip with Lindsay? We're going to see something very similar here, but it's a lot easier and also saves a lot more time. That's kind of a recurring theme of this game. Like some of the easier tricks actually save the most time.
Yeah. Right there, I got a sanity effect, horror camera shake. So that's a very lucky one to have, because I don't have to do manips. That's not my alignment. Sign this again.
What Pandora does here is she's setting up the puzzle, so she only has to do the last part, and then with the trapper she can move during this cutscene. So that takes us right into the basement, which saves having to go all the way around back from the door we used for the safe. To get to the safe, I should say.
Yeah, also these little particles around Alex, these are shields coming from a shield spell. They basically prevent damage. Different shields have different properties. Like the blue one protects you from magical damage as well, and so on. And we need this because there's a lot of electric fluor on this chapter, and we don't want that to slow us down.
We didn't comment on it, but we actually saw this spell during Michael's chapter, because we also went over that electric fluor on the way to the sanity ones.
1, 2, 3.
Yeah, Alex's part is actually really cool. There's a lot. This is very dense with tricks, and right away we're going to see. Actually, no. The worm is in a little bit.
Yeah. There's a lot of. This is a fairly technical chapter. So we can talk a little bit of what's going on here. So this is Enga. It's an ancient city that is just below the mansion in a giant cave. And this is actually discovered by Max first. But he doesn't incursion too much into it. Later on, Edward gets into the city, and he uses these giant spires to cast a very strong spell. So it's a 9 align spell to basically deactivate the city and destroy all the monsters on it. So later on, we're getting here with Alex, and Alex has a little bit of a different task here.
very nice multicast here because you need to cast a dispel and also set up your shields for the next run or next room.
Ooh, I think I hear double steps. Yep, that's double steps. Okay, so if we have double steps, that means we don't have bleeding walls. So let me think a little bit. This should be number 4.
Reminder to save here.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna cast safety no magic message then, just in case. I think I don't need to, but let's do it anyways.
There's a lot going on behind the scenes with some of the less noticeable sanity effects, like bleeding walls, that we won't get into in the commentary, but it's something that at high levels you kind of need to keep track of. Now this is a very cool trick, both because of just how it works and also the effect it has. So by summoning trappers here, normally what happens is if you run across the floor, then this worm coming up will leap out and zap you and take most of your sanity away, and also erect a barrier that prevents you from leaving the room. However, thanks to that trick, Pandora is actually able to leave the room after getting the sepia effect here. And what happens is, you'll notice if you play the game casually, the only way to get rid of the sepia effect and casually playing to get rid of the barrier that prevents you from exiting is to restore your sanity to a certain threshold. And what Pandora is going to do is she's going to cast a sanity pool. And this will gradually restore her sanity until she gets rid of the sepia effect. Now when you get rid of the sepia effect, you will get teleported to a specific place in the room you're in. And we'll see a payoff to that in just a little bit, but just keep that in mind for now.
Oh, now I get bleeding walls? Okay. Nice one game.
The game has been really in a mood this run, I feel.
Yeah. Like, we got a very, very good run, and then this one.
Yeah.
But it's alright.
Both ends of the spectrum, I guess.
Yeah. But it's very good for practice to get actually a bad run.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm always kind of nervous when my practice runs go very well. Like, all the bad luck is left over for the actual run. Okay, in this room, the game wants you to summon 3 specific monsters to put into those points. It doesn't really matter. You can watch a cutscene and just completely skip this chapter. What does matter is that at this point, Pandora is going to cast another sanity pool. And because of the sepia effect we have, we are now on the timer, because we want the sepia effect to get dispelled in a specific room. So we have to get there in time. Shouldn't be a problem for Pandora, but it is something you need to be wary of.
Okay, we need shields.
By the way, we've mentioned the teleport cancels from earlier. This is also something that Pandora is doing on these pillars.
Alright, sanity.
Okay, and we're fine.
So it was on like 90. Okay, I need to wait a little bit for Chaturga. Let's see. Chaturga now. Nice. That was almost, like, I almost messed that up.
What happened there?
Yeah, so the thing is, so the optimal strat here is casting a Chaturga pool as the game already, like, once you get to the threshold, which is 94, there is a timer activated, and once the timer is off, you get the teleport. So you wanna cast Chaturga pool once the timer starts, after the threshold. If you cast it before the threshold, you're gonna lose your sanity pool, so you're not gonna get enough sanity, and you're gonna get a time loss.
So how did you know to time that?
I need to look at my sanity.
Oh,
So yeah, I kind of get it by ear. Now the thing is, usually I run with half intro bind skip, which wastes more time on the previous room. And with that trick, you can just match Chaturga pool because the timer already started on the previous room. But I'm not doing that here because it can crash.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay, so Spire number 6. We're getting reveal invisible here. We use it to reveal some invisible floor. And it also helps us seeing some invisible trappers on the next room. If you don't have reveal invisible, you won't see them.
Yeah, what we're going to see here too is Pandora is going to use a technique called target running, which is kind of tricking the trappers into thinking she's not actually running past them. If you've seen stair skating in Resident Evil Remake, that's kind of similar to this. Also a bit more esoteric, if you've seen Yakuza 4 runs, then you kind of do a bit of that in one of Tenimura's set pieces. Same kind of idea, just something to kind of animation cancel you out of your run.
Yeah, and we'll see it a little bit more here. There's 3 trappers here. We're gonna make them think that I'm stopping immediately every time.
These guys are kind of scary because they can move a bit off screen, and if they're in a bad position, it can be very unpleasant.
So remember, the best quality of Chaturga pool is that I can run forever. As you can see, we're running so much during this chapter. So that's why we want to cast it. And incoming, we're gonna have a big skip right here. It can crash the game, so I'm gonna save right before it. But the idea is you cast an item more or less when you enter the last teleport here. And if you do it correctly, you can move during the cutscene on the next room.
And this is always the part where I get nervous during runs, because if you got one of the runes wrong, then the game will get to that rune and it will just do like a... And you know that, you're going to lose like 2 minutes correcting that.
Yeah.
Okay, but this is deck barrier skip. I'm going to let you focus on that, and we can talk about it after it's done.
That should work. There's 8 frames that work here, and 2 that crash the game. That just work right there. And there's a lot of cameras there, and we are always moving out of camera. But the game is very generous, and holding a single direction just makes a perfect line for that. Ooh, Trapper.
It's kind of a rite of passage for Eternal Darkness runners to lose a run to crashing the game.
It's true.
Trick.
Yeah, also on like Kareem, I would say, on Horror Skip.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I've had multiple of those rites of passage.
Okay.
But okay, now we're done with the runes, and this is the very final part of the run of the game. We're going to be fighting Pius. So Pius has 2 phases. The first phase has 2 or 3 parts to it, with some very interesting mechanics. Also, do you enchant the shotgun, or?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So you enchant the shotgun on attack barrier skip. So that way you enchant Gladius here to get Pius into a good position for Manips. Yeah, on the new route, I enchant shotgun on bind, and then Gladius on... Gladius on bind, and then shotgun on attack. And that gives me a better position for Gladius here to avoid a crash. Because I've actually got an accidental crash here. Just scrolling too much down.
Oh, I see. The way the mechanics of this fight work at first is you attack Pius, that causes the artifact to show up, and then you attack the artifact. Once again, incredibly bad luck here. You can kind of manipulate the position of the artifact, but yeah, sometimes you will just have to run back and forth throughout the entire arena. It's very unfortunate.
Yeah,
And
we
Elia. Sorry, go ahead.
So the way the artifact gets decided when I hit Pius, or the last time I hit the previous artifact rather, and hopefully I want Pius in a specific position, but it only increases the probability of a better artifact. It doesn't guarantee it, so there's always a little bit of luck, and you can just get the bad luck.
Now right here in this part, we get all the ghosts of everyone who fought the Ancients, or everyone who died to the Ancients at least. And they'll come in and help us destroy the artifact.
Okay.
And a nice sending off to all of them.
We are a consolation prize. Just for a little bit. At least for Max. This one is also pretty good.
Also
can we get one
Max
here?
And
yep.
nice.
Okay. Not a bad ending. Oh, come on.
That's very unfortunate. Every time you get hit as a ghost, you have to do that ghost phase again, and then it's on the other side.
Oh my god.
This is Roberto, who we skipped, but he's like the slowest character in the game. That's very unfortunate. But okay, we're coming up on the end of the run. So this is no ghosts, no artifact. We just fight Pius directly. And Pandora is going to do some shotgun magic here. So basically you need very fast attack cancels to the optimal. Equipping and unequipping the shotgun also helps if you see you're about to start losing time. Nice.
All
And
right.
time is
3, 2, 1. Time.
that's the ticket. Very nice. Okay, okay.
Oh,
Definitely
boy.
much more questionable run.
Questionable
but,
is a good
that's
word.
Still 133.
Yeah.
I'm trying to see. Yeah, that's still better than my time.
Yeah, I'm glad I actually gave out 133. I think with some adjustments. So the good thing is now I know I can save on the second part of Paul.
Mm-hmm.
So that should assure, you know, that 30-second or even a minute, so it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Because I was even thinking doing a 35, but I was also thinking that I'm on a better level. But I kind of just forgot how nasty no resets can get.
Yeah.
It's incredible. Like this game.
I always like to. I always like to round it up to like the nearest multiple of 5, because you know if you give like a 1, you know if it's 2 hours, if you give a 158 instead of 2 hours, it kind of seems like you're trying to be cute. But yeah,
it's true. I might tell them to put a 135 just in case.
Yeah. But okay, that commentary-wise, though, I think that was much better.
Yeah, I think we did a
Somehow
great
we
job.
did a second one. Yeah, that was good, I think. Okay, but I guess that will be me. Are you going to keep streaming?
I'm just gonna like close the stream in a little bit.
Yeah. All right, cool. So I will see you on Wednesday. And yeah, maybe we'll be in touch tomorrow. See what's up. But yeah, gonna be a good time.
Okay. Thank you, Nono, again for the good commentary.
Yeah, no problem.
Have a good one.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Chad. I'm here. I am so tired. No resets with commentary. They actually are very, very, very tiresome. It's crazy because my hands are a lot more stiff, you know, because I'm so nervous. I'm much more nervous. Or I guess it's similar to when I have a good run and I'm at the end. I'm very nervous. But also the fact that I'm kind of performing makes it so the muscles are more stiff and it's harder. Even though, you know, I'm with Nono, which is great for confidence, but still, it's just something. It's my autism and all that. That's why it's hard for me to do this stuff. But dude, I'm exhausted. I feel like how I feel after a 7-hour stream right now. But I really wanted to do 2, especially because I'm glad we got a bad run. Honestly, like I'm so glad we got a bad run on top of the good run. Because just going with the good run, I will get too cocky during the marathon probably. Whereas this is like more humbling, you know? Like, oh boy. But yeah, so tomorrow no stream. I'm gonna have the day to rest. I have stuff to do. And I'm also not gonna stream on Wednesday. I'm just gonna rest during the day. I'm gonna skip Go this time. And so remember, 10 p.m. EST. It's gonna be on the GDQ channel. It's the hotfix. It speedruns from the crypt, something like that. And yeah, hopefully we can put a good show for it. And after that, I need to decide whether I want to keep running, or if I want to switch to something else. I need to think about it. There's a part of me that I want to get a better 124. You know, the reason I came back to Eternal was to have a run with Bronskip. And I didn't get that. It still got a PB, but boy. So I'm not entirely sure, but because it's still, I don't want to burn out, you know? So I'll play by ear after the marathon. I'll see how I feel and all that. But yeah. Thanks everyone for watching. Tell your friends, tell your mom that I'm gonna be at Hotfix. Yeah, like, the thing is, like, my idea at first was to get the run, you know, get the PV I wanted with Bronskip, and then wait maybe another year and come back and give a shot to Insanity Warp. That was my idea. But I'm not sure now, you know, like we'll see. Like, for sure, we're not playing Insanity Warp now. That's you know. But yeah, we'll see. At 5 a.m. exactly. Yeah, like, what is your time? It is 5 a.m. your time as well? I guess you have a similar time to Nono. Even if you can't catch it, it's gonna be on YouTube. So that's good. Because honestly, that's one of the main reasons why I'm doing it. Because on the GDQ YouTube gets so many views. It's good for the game. 350, I see. Okay, bye bye, chat. See ya.